Hello.
I'm just here to listen. I'm not here to talk.
Oh, okay. Well, so far nobody's talking to me, so
Can't imagine why. Can't imagine why.
I love sarcasm.
My bread and butter being goddamn British. It's like a goddamn coping mechanism. I mean, if you can't be sarcastic, you'd have to actually face the reality of living in Britain. Can't have that. Just as a side question, and we can shut up as soon as somebody joins that you want to talk to. Uh, uh, can you make? I'm not asking you to publish it onto your YouTube channel, but can you make the full unedited recording available to people?
Yeah, I can give it to you right now if you want.
Sure, I'd appreciate that.
I'll give you exactly what I have. Hang on a second. I don't have the whole thing. I started recording halfway. No, I don't know. Somewhere after we started. And I ended it just before we started talking about Peter Boghossian. In there somewhere.
How are you sending this to me, just so I can look out for it?
I have an unlisted 45-minute YouTube video that I used to make the shorter video. So one is 45 minutes and 53 seconds, and the other one was 32 minutes.
Okay.
And it will
And
be.
you,
I guess
you're
I'll
gonna
put.
just DM it me, or?
No, I'll put it right in the voice chat so everybody can have it.
Okay. I appreciate that.
And then you can tell me exactly where I misrepresented you if I did. But be specific.
I don't think the claim is misrepresenting. Well, maybe. I think the claim I would mainly make is misrepresenting the conversation, but I guess that's kind of very similar.
Yeah, but anybody can say that for any, like, there's shorts on YouTube that are 60 seconds. So by definition, if you're taking any
Yeah,
thing that someone has
anybody could.
said,
Yeah.
so
But I've got reasons.
by definition, anybody who's in a short could say what you just said.
Yeah, they could, and then they could be valid or could be not. Right.
Right. And so that's why I'm asking if you think I've misrepresented you, like that you actually
Uh,
didn't mean.
Tangentially, but like my claim is the conversation is more misrepresented.
Yeah, that's more nebulous. That's more wishy washy. I mean,
Mm, I mean, the conversation started at a certain time and then ended at a certain time. It contains certain topics, and those things can be represented in a way, and I think they
right. But you see how
weren't
that's
represented
so
fully.
subjective, right? Like, someone, you could say the
Yeah,
whole conversation has been misrepresented. And I can
yeah.
say, no, it
Like for
wasn't.
example, if I say you're being mean to me, yeah, that's subjective. I can still claim that, and people agree with me or not,
Yeah,
subjectively
that's
based on
true.
their.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
that's fine.
I'm not making some objective claim.
Like,
I think subjectively, and I think most people would agree with me
do you?
subjectively.
I perceive you feel like Mike Winger right now because I've made many videos of him. I don't know if you've watched my channel
Well, that's
or.
the thing that made me literally go insane, Doug. Because in the comments on that video, I am literally moaning at you that you didn't put more of the video up. An indirect response to that, your response is you're scared of people seeing how insane you are. Doug, I'm literally asking you to put more of my insanity up. What are you talking about? Like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Are you even listening to me? I'm moaning at you. You didn't put more of the video up.
I put
An
almost
indirect
everything
response to
up
that,
except for the Peter Boghossian
and I'm
stuff. You
scared.
want me to put the Peter Boghossian stuff up too?
Well, now I know that you don't have to start the conversation. It was
Yeah,
more
I do
just
not have the start of the
the-
conversation, and my guess is part of you doesn't even believe me, but that's the truth. Where it starts is exactly where I started recording.
Okay.
So
So yeah, the start would make
now what do we
yeah,
do?
and then the end would make a bit of a difference.
The end would make a bit of a
Because I think,
difference to
for
what?
example, yeah, well, I guess people's overall view of how that conversation was, because it starts quite hostile and it ends quite hostile, or just kind of ends abruptly. Whereas beforehand, I think I joined and I was quite calm at first, and then also at the end, I made a point to be quite cordial and say, like, wish you a good time with your family and things.
Ah, so you're embarrassed that you look like a hostile person in the middle.
It's not embarrassment.
What then?
It's just like not what happened. I think people can get a
No,
perception
it's
that's not what
exactly what happened. It's recorded.
it's a part of what happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay, so exactly, it's a part of
Oh,
what
Jesus
happened.
Christ. Oh my God. Like, for example, if I say to you, Doug, I'm going to say something that I don't believe here, and then I say, I don't know, like, the sky is green, and then you clip out me saying the sky is green. Well, yeah, I technically said that, but the context of me saying
Ah,
beforehand,
okay,
I'm going to
okay.
tell a
Very
lie here
good.
is
Very
important.
good.
Of course it is. Jesus Christ.
I get it. I get it. So now I need you to tell me where I misrepresented you.
Well, I gave you just a couple of examples. I think the cordiality of the whole conversation is misrepresented by how it's cut,
So you
or the conflictness of the conversation, or
so
whatever you want to
overall
put.
you think the conversation was cordial or not?
Um, no, I'm not making that claim. I'm saying there are bits at the start and at the end that were cut out that make it look more hostile than it was. I'm not saying that conversation was cordial or like
Okay.
friendly, like banter and shit, but
I don't have the
you know,
beginning, and I do have the end, and I just gave it to you. It's 12 minutes worth. So if there's something in
yeah.
there that you
Well,
think,
me saying to you, like, I hope you have a nice time with your family and stuff like I'm pretty sure that might change the
oh,
perception of somebody and how engaged with people. And
you need people to hear that.
I don't need people to hear it, but it's better if we're talking about free and honest and debate and stuff like. If we
I
hold to those
see.
values, not
So
misrepresenting the other side.
you would like me to publish you saying I hope you have a good time with your family.
Yeah, just make that little clip, Doug. Make that short, and
Would that make you happy?
you're misrepresenting what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that the cordiality or the overall hostileness or whatever you want to sum up as is affected by missing that off the end. Of course, it's affected. That's my only point. People would get a different impression, slightly. And
Yeah.
you're trying to say I'm making some point that like the conversation was absolutely wonderful and you're being completely lied about. No, I'm just saying people's perception would be different.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike Winger would love to talk to you because there's many times where I've taken a clip of Mike Winger saying the most craziest things, and then I left out the part where it ended so nicely, and he said, "Well, have a good time with your family." I didn't put that in. Should I put that back in for Mike Winger too?
Well, it depends how often you're going to talk to him. If it's like you talk to him quite often, right? So people get
Well,
an
not
overall
anymore.
impression of. Well, no, but your audience understands his personality and the type of blah blah blah. And so if they see like a little clip or whatever, then it's very different to these people, these random people that you're going to talk to maybe once or twice or whatever. And it again builds up this image that like the trans activists are all angry crazies or whatever. And I don't think that was like I don't think that's a representation of what happened in the conversation.
Well, that's your opinion, right?
Yeah, subjective opinion, like I said before. Like,
Yeah, there you go. You got your opinion. I got mine.
yeah, I'm just happy. Like, I'm not worried about like, I don't know, what would you call it? Putting that subjective opinion up to the subjective court of the public opinion.
Well, watch the full, like everything I have from that conversation I just gave you. So watch.
Yeah, I don't think it's going
So
to
you can.
change my point, though, right? I'm making a point about how it's slightly affecting things or it's
Yeah.
creating certain
Okay.
impressions or
Fine.
whatever.
Fine. I heard you.
Mhm.
But you can
Yeah, I
watch.
think me rewatching isn't going to change my stance there, right?
Okay, so that's fine.
I do appreciate you sending it me there. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Well, I'm assuming other people have it, and if they don't, then they should be recording everything. So there's no problem
I'm
for
going to
me
shut up.
providing it.
I only want to make some small points, and you wanted to have like a conversation about something else, so I'm going to mute now.
Okay. Oh, there was Matt, Lord of the Penguins. You wanted to say something to me? Did you clip Addison for ridicule? No, I wouldn't use the word ridicule. I would just say that my main point was that when it comes to using certain terms like gender terms versus sex terms, that there's huge discrepancies even within the queer community, which I mean, that's just a no-brainer to say, and that it becomes a crazy mess when you start mixing and matching these terms. To demonstrate to my audience how insane these people are. Well, yeah, I would say that from my perspective, from my opinion, some of these comments that were said in that video are crazy.
Okay, I said I shut up, but another completely tangential, not related to what you're saying right now, but a dying question I've got to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember me before that talk we had yesterday, or is that the first time that you think we've interacted?
Audibly, I think that's the first time we've interacted, right? Or no?
No, I've interacted with you for years and years and years, going back to playing poker with you multiple times for hours on end. With
We've
Reed
played
and people
poker
like that.
together?
Yes. I've interacted every single time I talk to you. You forget who I am. And I've interacted with
Wait a
you for
minute.
years. I've been on your live stream.
What do
I've been
you?
in the SE server. I'm part.
We
I'm
played
part of
poker
that
together?
video. Yes, we played poker together.
What
I
was your name?
collected all everybody's one. No,
Was your name
I didn't.
Addison in poker?
Yeah, I've been Addison in poker. Yeah. This is like going back, I don't know, 5+ years or whatever.
We
The
haven't been.
poker tournaments with Reed.
Well, we've only been playing poker for 2.5 years.
No. With Reed, years and years and years and years ago.
Yeah, we started playing
2.5
poker
years?
in May of 2022, I believe. So
Oh, really? Okay, maybe I'm. The pandemic's screwed with my
Did you
time.
show your face?
Yeah,
What do you look like?
I look like.
Can you show
I
your
don't know.
face
If you
right
see
now?
me on.
Maybe I'll remember you if you show your face right now.
Well, no, you won't remember me now because I had short hair at the time.
Well,
But I'm the one in the video, in the SEI video where I'm talking to the SEI board and I'm moaning about Peter Boghossian, and you see me in that. I'm the one with all the lights in the background.
I'm sorry.
You've forgotten that I was in that as well.
No, I'm being honest. I have no recollection of you.
I know. It. It makes me laugh every time because we've had like these in-depth
Can you
talk.
provide?
Like yesterday, I would say we've had an in-depth talk. You remember my name for the next couple of
Can
days.
you
But if we don't interact for like 3 months or so, you'll just completely forget who I am again.
can you provide any link where I can see your face?
Yeah, sure. Where's that video? You've got my face on your channel, I think, somewhere. I've called into your channel multiple times. I'll send you a
I'm sure as
link
soon as I see
to.
your face, I'll remember you. So
I don't know if you will. Hang on, let me find a picture of myself where I look more like how you. There we go. There's a good picture.
it's in the.
I'm gonna post it in this voice chat.
Okay.
I'll come for you with my blunderbuss. I posted it in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Oh my goodness, I still don't remember you.
I know. It's like you have Addison amnesia or something. Do you remember the video I'm referencing where a group of woke lefties moaned about Peter Boghossian to the SCI board?
No.
No,
can you
you
provide
went
that
on.
link?
Reed leaked the video to you, and then you went on stream talking about it. PineCreek. How do you not remember that stream?
I remember the stream that you're referring to, but I don't remember you.
Yeah, that one. Well, fine. That I don't know what you called that stream. You called it something like a live stream, and then you didn't name it exactly like I don't know, discussing the
I'm
FBI meeting.
horrible. I'm horrible at tagging my own videos, so it's hard to find everything. But sorry, I don't remember you.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about the video that nobody's allowed to publish because Abstract Activist has an
that one.
NDA with Peter Boghossian?
Yeah, that one. Have you got a link to that quickly, like at hand?
No, I'd have to go digging for it.
Yeah, I'm digging for it now.
I think I have it somewhere too, but I have no idea where.
I'm in that. I'm the one with all the lights in the background. I talk a lot. As per usual.
Actually, that's one of the reasons why I posted that video too, is just to show how loquacious you were.
Would it be in this? It's probably in a voice chat, some like DM somewhere.
But anyhow, like, I guess, why are you bringing this up?
Just because it's hilarious to me that we've interacted for years and years and years, and in a substantial way. You know, like we've played poker together for hours, or we've had a heated discussion for an hour, and every single time, like a month later, you forget who I am, and I just find it funny. So I wanted to see if you remembered us ever interacted before yesterday.
And when we played poker together, like you had a poker name. What was your poker name?
I'd probably just put Addison in the name. I wouldn't put anything else. That's what I'm known by. And it's also my name. I don't have a moniker that I use often.
Because I'm going to look you up, because I got a database of everybody who's played with us, I think. Let me see if I can find you.
Yeah, you'll see Addison. Look, I'm going to... Hang on. Yeah, 1st of January 2020, Reed's saying, come and play in the next SEM PineCreek community video chat poker tournament. And then he's telling me also on the 22nd of December 2021, the same thing. 19th of December, the same thing.
There's no Addison in our poker database.
I would definitely
Would there be a different name you were playing under?
No. I can't imagine there's no other name I would use. Let me go in this chat with my other account. Let me share my screen.
Maybe Reed deleted you from the poker thing because you don't want to play anymore? I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, just watch go watch my stream right now that I'm streaming.
Go watch the stream that you're streaming right now?
Yeah, into this Discord chat.
There's no link.
There should be like a little extra avatar, and it just says watch stream rather than. Are you you're on PC, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't use mobile.
Yeah, so on your left-hand side, you'll see the top person in this chat is called Addison, and they've got a big live thing next to them.
Yeah, I see that.
That's me on my other account. So you hover over me.
Yeah, I see it.
And then.
I don't know if it's because of the stream or what. Everything's echoing.
Yeah, it's because I was watching. So here's Reed telling me on the 10th of October about the poker tournament. Here's me on the 17th telling me about it. Here he is on the 24th. Like, it just goes on and on. You know, sometimes I buy in, sometimes I don't. And then it stopped. So I definitely have played poker with you in like 2021, 2022. Let me see. I don't want to dox anything on these poker things. So just be careful here.
Yeah, there's an echo. It's actually. Can you fix that?
Not sure how I do that. But I think the last time I played was around January 2022. I stopped the stream, by the way. You didn't disconnect from it.
That's better.
So yeah, like, I mean, since 2021, we've been playing poker and stuff like that, you know. So And there was definitely times when I played where you were in the room, multiple times. So it's just funny to me. It's not like I'm making any sort of slight against you. I just find it funny. It's like you have Addison amnesia or something.
Okay.
Doug, why were you disparaging the post office earlier?
Sorry, I can't stop laughing from that question. Partly because I knew you were listening. Did you laugh? Probably not.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. No. No offense taken. I mean, given. I knew you were there, and I was thinking in my head, oh, this. I'll needle you a little bit. My brother-in-law, who's now passed away, worked at the post office, so, and I loved my brother-in-law, so.
I don't remember even telling you that I worked at the post office.
Yeah, it's a good question. How do I know you worked at the post office? Oh, I think the home office in Wichita does extensive research on everybody I talk to, and they told me. No, you said you posted publicly somewhere that you worked at the post office, or when you even called in one day, you were, I think, doing your job, and I think I maybe asked you about it. See, unlike Addison, I remember
Right.
you, but Addison's very forgetful. But you, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would also want to forget somebody taking all of my money in a poker tournament over and over again. What?
Did you take my money? I don't remember that.
No, but it seemed like a funny thing to say.
We were playing poker twice a week for close to 2 years, and I'm just kind of burnt out from poker. So we haven't played in a while. Doug, imagine you're having a chat around a table and surreptitiously pull the lever, and the walls behind your conversation partners disappears. Okay. Do you feel any responsibility for the treatment of people on the stage by opening the curtain? No, zero, none. You know why? Can anybody guess why I feel no responsibility? Take a guess. And don't say it's because I'm a psychopath or something. There's a good reason. Yes. See, I even knew someone was going to type psychopath before they even did it. Because of this, because of Nathan. Nathan has warned everybody here long ago, back in December of 2023, the Seventh Amendment. By being in this Discord, you consent to having your message screen capped and potentially being recorded by other members. If you're not okay with this, you should leave. Now, one could make the argument, well, being recorded is not the same as putting it on YouTube. Well, what is the purpose of recording? It's to have a record of what has been said.
Yeah, but a record is different than a published.
But if you never ever publish a record, what good is the record? It's like if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it. It doesn't make it sound.
If somebody's horrifically racist in the server, right, you might start recording it, and then you might send it to the mods, but then you might not publish it to YouTube. There is a difference. It's not the same thing. Like, there is different stages of publishing and recording. And
okay, but given that Addison, I have a YouTube channel, and given what Nathan has said, assume you're going to be recorded, it doesn't take that much brilliance to connect the dots that this potentially can be published. Right?
well, yeah, potentially, yeah. I wouldn't argue against the potential.
Yeah.
or that you did it. It's more just the
Like, everyone here ought to assume
around the consent to it, or you informing.
Everyone here ought to assume that this exact conversation can be published on YouTube at any time for any reason, and taken out of context and used against you. That's why it's very careful what you say. Right?
Who are you asking? The room? Me?
Yeah, I guess the room. Yeah. And by the way, it does work. Like, there's a channel called what's it called? The Politics and Religion server. I've been in several conversations where people have said the most atrocious things to me. I record it and I give it to the world to see. And the owner of the room has the same policy as Nathan here, that assume that that you're in public and that everything can be recorded. And for now, when I go in a room now on that server, people are actually terrified to talk to me. And guess what? I don't mind. But the ones who do talk to me, they know exactly what they're getting into and they behave appropriately. They just don't come out and call me an a-hole anymore. And if they do, then they got to be prepared to say woke liberal meltdown and be humiliated in front of thousands of people.
I wrote my thoughts on this more succinctly than I can say them live now, and I've linked you them in the text chat if you want to have a look.
Well, I think I already read all that.
Yeah, that's my stance.
Yeah, I understand your stance.
I don't think there's anything.
And Jan asked, why would you take things out of context and use against people? I've now provided, just earlier, Jan, you came here late. I provided everything I had, and I'm asking you, pleading with you, tell me what I took out of context. Tell me how I miss whatever was said in that clip that I provided. That was not just the clip, it's 32 minutes. By leaving out, I think I left out 8 minutes or 10 minutes. Tell me what I left out changes everything or changes something.
Also, Doug, you should be charitable, and like all of our arguments have been made on the basis that you had the beginning as well, which
I did.
Cuts out. Yeah, and so our arguments would be adjusted to take that into account, right? So I wouldn't make the argument that Doug cut out. It's my subjective opinion. I know you disagree with this. It's my subjective opinion that you cut out, or before I knew that you hadn't cut it out. I thought you'd cut out the beginning bit where you asked me basically the same question over and over again, and then you started the recording, or started the edit of the full recording partway through.
Okay,
and now obviously I wouldn't make that point, right? Would I? Because I know that that's, or I assume, or I believe you that that's not the case. So you have to be charitable to us and understand the context.
Hang on, Addison. Were you charitable when you assumed I had that in the beginning when you wrote it? Did the thought even occur to you? Well, maybe Doug did. Yeah, very reasonable assumption. Yeah,
because you yourself claim that you record everything at all times. So why you would only start recording?
Whoa. Is that true? Have I made that claim that I record everything all the time?
You're telling us to assume. You've told us in the last 5 minutes to assume that is what you're doing.
Yes,
and now chastising you.
Hang on, Addison.
Now, your whole chastisation 10 seconds ago was chastising me for assuming that you'd recorded the beginning of it.
Addison.
Whilst also at the same time telling us to assume that.
Addison, listen to this. Tell me if this is contradictory. One ought to assume that I'm recording at all times. Period. Mm-hmm. Next statement. I am recording at all times. Can you see
those different things.
Those are different things. I have never made the claim that I record every conversation all the time, but I will make the claim to you guys that you ought to assume I do, even though if I don't.
Right. And so, okay, let's just ignore the little confusion about the take that last bit, that last word you just said, the last sentence. you're telling us to assume, not that you are, but to assume that you're recording everything at all times. And then you're chastising me for making the assumption that you were recording it at the beginning.
Yes, that is true. I'm making that
That
assumption.
makes no sense.
Well, but at the
What
time,
are you doing, Doug?
at the time you made that, Addison, Addison,
Reset Doug.exe. He's glitching again.
Addison, when you made that statement, did you hear me say, assume everybody's recording? I'm recording all the time.
Yeah, you've made that statement like within the last 5 minutes before I said it.
No. Did you know that yesterday?
Oh, I understand what you're asking me. Yeah, yesterday. Well, the point is, I had assumed because you had recorded the conversation, you'd recorded at least part of it, as it turns out, that you had also recorded the beginning. And I'm saying that's a very reasonable assumption, only given the fact that you'd recorded part of the conversation. If we're also adding the fact that you have a YouTube channel where you likely record Discord calls and things like that, then of course it's a reasonable assumption. Why have I been chastised for making that very, very reasonable assumption?
Matt asks, I want you to hear yourself say it in the recording. Were you saying that for Addison's benefit or to get a soundbite? No, it wasn't actually it was not to get a soundbite. It was just for that, within that conversation. I wanted Addison to hear himself. But like, my perspective is I try to treat people equally. I know that might sound crazy to some people here, but just because someone's trans, I'm not going to be easy on you. I will treat Addison or Meredith or any other trans person the same way I would treat Mike Winger. If I think you're wrong or contradictory or if I want to know something about, I won't be shy or scared to ask. And I think this lends more respect to trans people than to say, I can't ask certain questions or I can't record because how dare you even think about making the trans community look inconsistent. I mean, you can't have that.
That's not the point at least not the point I've made.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's not the point you're making. So you would be in support of me, Addison, to show a case where a trans person is inconsistent. I'm not saying you are, but you would support me in doing that.
Trans people are inconsistent because people are inconsistent about things, yes.
Okay, great. Now, you're different. I actually get the sense, and I could be wrong about my sense, but I get the sense that it's either all or nothing, that you either support the trans community or the queer community, you're either in it all or you're not. And I'm not saying anybody here in this room is like that, but it almost seems like it to me that how you can't criticize trans people because, I mean, they're trans people. Trans people are not special. They're open to scrutiny like anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're on the same page. I'm still amazed I don't remember you.
Tell me about it.
I'm looking at your face and I can't. I'm wondering if you played with Reed in poker without me?
No, definitely. I remember you being there and having, little, when we're talking about hands or whatever, like having a little riff of back and forth with you and things like that. Can't remember anything we exactly said, but
talking.
And I remember you were there with your blue background. Hans, yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
I don't remember Hans. Are you sure you? And I'm quite sure we
again. This was like what, 3 years ago?
We started May of 2022.
No, we didn't. I mean, at least for me, there's messages of Reed asking me like October 2021 or whatever. So at least I didn't. You might have joined in later, but let me go back here to the earliest one. Hang on.
We need to get Reed in here.
I have the literal messages from Reed.
I
I've
know.
showed you them.
I can't read it. It was too small.
Okay.
But
Okay. Well, look. The
but maybe
first one I
Reed
have is
can.
from the
But maybe
talking
Reed
about
can
poker from the
can help.
6th of September, 2021. That's the first time I think he invited me to play. The 6th of September, 2021. I mean, we're being pedantic about like what 4 months there or something, but you know.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Okay, are you happy to maybe you misread or something? But that whole thing about like me again moaning that you hadn't put up more of the video, and then you replying with, let me get your exact quote. Hang on. I didn't line it up on my YouTube thing when it's changed tab now. You're basically saying in response to me, like, yeah, Addison, you don't want your insanity shown to the world. Like, did you just misread what I put, or like, I don't know, maybe you were thinking I was saying something else or something? Because to me, it like that makes no sense. That's like you brain glitching again. It's like you telling me not to assume after whilst telling me to assume. Like, what are you? What I can't make sense of that. What is going on with you, Doug?
I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. You're talking about in that text in the main chat. I just
No, in the YouTube video, we had there's a discussion back and forth that we have. I'll find it now. It'll take me maybe 30
within that
seconds.
video, I said the word insane.
No. I'm moaning at you in one of the comments. I'm saying, you know, you clipped it out and you've not put the full context there, blah blah blah. And I'm saying like it would have been better if you'd put the full context there. And I've got the thread now. Hang on. And then in response to that, look, I'm saying, I'll read it here. I'm not the one clipping bits out of talks, especially the bits where my opponents show cordiality after hostile engagement, or bits where I admit I was wrong about things, and then I'm a bit sarcastic. I'm like, if that's how you want to operate, cool. I don't expect many people to talk to you again. So the whole point of that comment is me being upset that you haven't published more of that video. And then your response to that, I quote, is at me. I understand most people don't like their insanity broadcast to the world. Well, I'm asking you to broadcast more of it. Like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. Did you not read what I put? Misread it or something? Like, do you understand how that makes no sense?
No. Well, but Reed's here now, and Reed, do you remember Addison from poker?
If Addison played poker with us
Yeah.
early on, I don't remember. No.
So Addison, what's going on here?
Well, I definitely did. I mean, let me check my DMs here. Yeah, there's screenshots of me showing Reed that I've paid in or whatever, right? To the Cash App thing.
But did you actually play with us?
Yes, multiple times. I played with you multiple times.
Reed, do you remember any of this?
It's been years now, but probably in
Yeah.
the early beginning of it. Yeah, probably, yeah.
And when did we start?
Reed, would you mind me screenshotting a very small bit of our DMs, only where it shows you invited me, and then me showing that I've paid in?
I'm just...
You were muffled. Could you say that again? Sorry.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, I'll post it in the text chat in the next 3 or 4
Because
seconds.
Addison, we have a database that when we send out.
Well, I must have sent Reed 30 quid to have an imagination poker game with you then, I guess? Because there is literally a screenshot of me sending Reed money buying into the game. So, there you go. I mean, I don't know what...
Maybe show Reed your face. Actually, Reed, if you just
Reed
scroll...
knows who I am. No, Reed knows who I am. He's just not sure whether we play poker. I've talked to Reed lots.
Okay.
I've done video edit. Well, I edited one video for Reed. I've been
this is not a big deal. This is of course not a big deal or anything. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just very curious why I don't remember you.
I know, and every time we interact, you don't remember me. I find it amusing. So there's no like, I'll slight you for like, I don't know, cutting the end off and making me not look as cordial. But I'm not going to slight you for this. This is just funny to me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm under any compunction to make you look good.
I'm not asking you to make me look good. I'm asking you to represent the situation fully.
Yeah, well, does fully mean that I should also include video? Let's say I had video of you from 2 months ago. Like, do I have to have a running tab of context?
Well, no, but if you're going to publish a conversation, then you publish, part of it. I think I'm perfectly fine.
Half an hour is a big part.
Yeah, I didn't say how big the part was.
Like, and if you think that
like if you'd only cut off the last 10 seconds where I'm like, Doug, I hope you have a lovely time with your family, I'd still be making the same point. That you cutting those last 10 seconds out made me slightly less cordial to steal
the last 10 seconds.
No. If only the last 10 seconds contained me saying, I hope you have a lovely time with your family, Doug, no hard feelings, really nice things for the last 10 seconds, and you'd only cut out those last 10 seconds, then you would still have kept in 99.9% of the video. I'm not making a claim about how much you kept in on it. What I'm claiming is the context.
Yeah, if you go to where I ended it and then 10, 20, 30 seconds in the future, you're not saying have a nice time with your family. You would have to go, I think,
to the end of the conversation when you're leaving it. You're talking about your family being.
In fact, I'm not even so sure I recorded
this
to the very end.
Okay. So it might not even be on the recording.
Yeah, I'm checking right now.
So when you say,
how do you know I haven't done what you said
about your family's making a lot of noise now, so you've got to go, and then it's literally,
But why is it so important for you to have people hear you say have a good time with your family?
It's not. It's not. It's not important. I'm just saying you misrepresented that conversation in certain ways.
Oh, okay.
By not airing the full video.
Tell me how. Specifically.
What have we just been talking about for the last 20 minutes? The cordiality or the hostility of it all, or whatever,
Okay, so that's why I asked you. You wanted me to put in the thing about have a good time with your family because it shows you as cordial and less like a hostile person.
And that is a better representation of the conversation, and that's what I'm arguing for. The full representation, not to make me look good or to whatever. I'm talking about just a full representation. I think people would have a different opinion if they had the full representation, or a slightly different opinion, or whatever, right? To some degree.
And you care about what people think of you, I guess, and so.
Well, if people are going to have thoughts on me, I would rather they be based on the full thing that happened rather than part of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen to the.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Listen to the last 10 minutes or so of that what I provided you, and tell me if there's anything in there you want me to add in. Because a lot of it
now after the fact, like what a lot of it is point. Like just in future, just leave the whole thing up.
A lot of that last 10 minutes that I left out was us talking about Peter Boghossian and you complaining that I didn't go at him strong enough. And to me, this was completely off topic on the trans issue, so I left it out.
Well, you also cut out a little bit of pushback and you granting something at the end as well about Forest and the trans use and the whole what was it? The inconsistencies and stuff like that. And then I made a point about internal consistencies or external whatever, and you granted that point, and that was cut out.
I actually think
you cut every single thing you granted to us. The stuff in the beginning, you made a couple of grants. You granted something as soon as I entered the room. I can't remember what it was. I was moaning at you about, and then maybe a couple of minutes before the recording started, and then right at the end again about inconsistencies. So again, like you cutting out every single time that you grant us things, it can make us look more reasonable or whatever if you're conceding points to us and things like that, right? Versus just a video where you're just dunking on us the whole time or whatever, right? Just creates a different impression. I'd rather people have a
I
more
believe I've posted
informed impression.
I posted everything I had from the beginning to the point where the conversation changed topics.
Well, I don't think it did change topics. I think you cut it before it changed fully to the Peter Boghossian stuff.
There's maybe like a minute or so in there that I could have extended it, but I actually liked how I ended it with.
I'm sure you did, because it cut out you granting a whole point we've been trying to make over and over and over again, the whole conversation about internal consistencies, or inconsistencies between different people and their individual uses. And we finally got that point across to you, and you granted it, but that was cut. I think that's the whole conversation we were talking about for most of it, or whatever, right? How people use these words, whether they're inconsistent or not. And at the end, you cut out you granting an argument we've been trying to make all the way through.
From.
Well, yeah.
So that's another example of just like a very slight different take that the audience will get with that edit.
And you think that makes you look bad or something?
Does it make me look bad? I think again, it's hard. The way I would phrase it is just different. It changes how people like see the conversation. It's a misrepresentation of the conversation.
And the conversation, you think that would change how they see the 30 minutes that I did post?
Yes and no. So like the exact contents that, if they pluck out individual claims or whatever, no, it's not going to change the stance on the individual claims. But then viewing the conversation as a whole, yes, that's the whole point I'm making it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we can agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's subjective, like I said.
Like I got the transcript right in front of me. The last, I cut it where it said, it's just a mess. And then this is the transcript. So that's where I'm coming from. Well, because not everyone has like the things about things exactly the same way. It's almost like people have different opinions and things. Well, yeah, I mean, when I look at Philadelphia Eagles fans, some of them, they're like, this team is great. Some of them is like sucks. They're watching the exact same game. So I left all that out because nobody cares about the Philadelphia Eagles. And I mean, they're just inconsistent gibberish consistently internally when people, but there should be consistency.
Well, I'm making a point there, Doug, aren't I? That a group can be cohesive as a whole and still have internal.
I'm reading the transcript, and I'm just letting you know I don't care about the Philadelphia, and I don't care about the points you're making. But there should be consistency, at least for one person like this. Brought up first Velkai and his name. Yeah, he either misspoke or he just blatantly was inconsistent about the male and female or biological terms that should be separated from woman and man as more identity construct type terms. Then on the same hand, he talks about I got a clip of him talking about the gametes, and then so we go basically I go on and tell him
for a bit,
yeah, and then
there's a back and forth on that, and you can see the point that there can be cohesiveness, or however I phrased it 10 seconds ago. There can be cohesiveness or inconsistencies between certain individuals, but the individuals themselves can absolutely have a consistent definition or whatever.
So we talk about well, I'm looking to see if it's in the transcript.
To me, that's very relevant. That's the whole goddamn conversation we were having. It's not change of a topic.
No, it's not.
I agree that me telling you that you're saving Peter Boghossian on prostate exams is a change of topic. But...
Addison, I think your main problem is that if you really thought you came out looking well there, if you really, really believe that, you wouldn't care if it was 30 minutes or 45 minutes. You would just say thank you, Doug, for posting it.
No. I mean, I'd have to dig out examples, but there's been examples where I've moaned at people for not putting the whole thing up, even when I have looked.
Okay, then do your moaning in private if you want. I mean, or make a video.
Right.
I gave you.
You didn't make it private.
I know, but I'm not the one complaining. You are. So if you want to complain, my advice
you are complaining. You complain about me, and I'm complaining about you.
My advice to you is, if you want, post the full video on YouTube.
I don't think I need
the full audio. I gave it to you. Post the full thing on YouTube if you want. I gave it to you.
I don't think I need to go that far to achieve what I want to achieve.
What do you want to achieve? Just you're complaining to me?
Like a clarification for people. So, for example, if I post it in
For people,
this
you mean like
Discord,
the 7 people listening right now? Why limit yourself to the 7 people
Remember,
listening right now? Why not go? You could potentially get thousands of people to hear your side of the story. Post it on YouTube.
I'm more interested in the people who are who have seen your content. So that would be people here, people in your server. Maybe if there's a way to post it in the comments of the original video, and that would suffice for me. I don't need to do anything else, right?
Oh, so you are worried about how people on my channel view you.
Worried is a weird way of saying it, but
Concerned.
I guess
You care.
I care. Yeah.
You care what strangers on the
Or
internet
at
think
least
of you.
if people are going to have an opinion on me, I would prefer, so that maybe that's the care or however you want to sum that up. I'd prefer they had the full thing to judge me from. Yeah, I
think
prefer that. So I guess that's me caring.
Like you said earlier that there was a point in the conversation where you chose to be civil with me. Is that what you said earlier? Like, I don't know, 20 minutes ago?
At the end of the conversation, I made a point to not just completely end it hostility and to.
Why did
I said something like have a nice time with your family or something like that.
Why did you make that choice? Just to be nice, or?
It's more that I realize that when I am talking about these topics, I can come across as way more because I get like very not emotional. I get very agitated or like very that's not like very. Like I talk faster than I normally would. I think faster than I normally would, or whatever. It like gets me going is the way to think about it, I guess. Because it gets me going, I want people to understand that that's not me the whole time. And then when we're not, if you're talking about your family or whatever, I'm not going to be like that with you then, right? If we're talking about, I don't know, what goddamn poker strategies you think is best, I'm not going to be, oh my god, Doug, I can't believe, talking as fast as I like Destiny or whatever, right? Like.
So are you admitting to me right now that you were agitated during that 30 minutes and that you did talk too much?
No, not that I talk too much. That I talk faster than I normally would. And yeah, I was agitated. Of course I would be.
Okay.
You like repeatedly didn't listen to me over and over. Yeah, there was lots of aggravating things that happened.
Oh no, I listened to you.
I don't think you did at certain points.
Yeah, like one of the biggest things where I kept...
you were listening, but like the comprehension or whatever, right? That's what I'm talking.
Like I see this
not
often
like you were paying attention.
I see what you did, and it's human nature, and I'm sure I do it sometimes too. But when asked very simple type questions, and when
going on this again,
and when someone answers it, but then feels the need to add other disclaimers and caveats,
didn't do that at first.
That's the point.
For the first 3 or 4 times you asked me the question, I didn't add in the caveats. And if you'd asked me the other question the right way around, like this answer is yes or no in that context. That's the answer. And you didn't get that answer, so then I would add on more context, then more context.
Okay, we
and
just
then you would
disagree
know
on
I
this.
was talking to you. Yeah, that's fine.
And people can watch.
I mean,
the
at
video
one point you literally were telling me that I'm getting you to repeat this so you can hear yourself. I mean, okay.
Right. And people can watch this for themselves and make their decision on that. But whenever I ask a question about me, going into a hospital and is the use of the word male reflective reality, and you say yes in that context, biology, yes. And then, but when I ask the same question about Meredith, notice what you did. You answered the same way.
My original answer was yes in that context.
Yes, but my point of showing that video was to show, but you felt the need to add in, but if they're talking socially, then we would, change, right?
Yeah.
Change the.
So you kept kind of not understanding that.
I understood that completely. I understood it completely, but what I was showing there is the fact that you even felt the need to say it in the first place.
No. Because
you couldn't just let it go.
It wasn't. No. If you hadn't repeated the question, then my only answer would have been yes in that context, and we would have gone on to other stuff. I disagree. Because that's the first answer I gave you, Doug. Okay, fine, you can disagree.
It isn't. You can watch it back for yourself.
Well, again, the start of the recording starts 3 or 4 times round.
You're right.
And I think even then, I think even at like the third or fourth time round, I still give you a quick answer initially. or a way quicker one than we end up getting to in the end, where you're moaning about how long it is. And again, if you'd phrased the Meredith question the other way around, it would have been yes in that context or whatever, right? And there's also things like, how would I phrase this? Like it's a clunky word, so don't hold me to this exactly. I might find a better one. But your understanding of what I'm saying, in regards to like, I think you understand a lot easier when I say yes in that context about you. You don't need me to add on, and I assume you're male and you're a cis male and blah blah blah. I think you just have that understanding. Whereas on the other side with the trans context, there's less understanding. So I obviously have to. I feel the need to add that in.
There you
It's got
go.
nothing to do with-
That's my point I was making. What you just said.
I didn't
You
have
felt the need
until
to add
third or
it in.
fourth time round, though. And I felt the need to add that in because you kept asking me again and again and again. I
Right.
wouldn't have felt the
To-
need to
to-
add that the first time round, and I didn't.
I kept asking it again and again to see if you could answer without feeling the need to add anything else at the end.
Well, that's insane. If someone answers a question to you and then you ask them the goddamn same question again, they're going to feel like they haven't answered it properly or to a sufficient way that you understand and try and help you understand, making the answer longer. I swear, God, you're like
No,
your
to me
EXE
that
is like.
to me that's the opposite. Like if someone were to ask me the same question
Well,
over and
that's
over again,
subjective.
that's
That's
not how
not
my brain
reasonable.
works. My answers get shorter, not longer.
I don't think that's the case for most people.
Well, you could be right, but maybe it's a 50-50 split on how brains work and how, right versus left brain people, female versus male. But yeah, I'm being honest. If people ask me the same question over and over again, and let's say give a 10-word answer, I think I go the other direction than you.
There's instances where I would, like if I was getting annoyed, like if I was getting really, really angry, I might start explaining something in detail to somebody, and then I don't know, they're being really, really aggressive or something. I might just end up being like, no, fuck you in the end. Yeah, then the answer's shorter, right? But most of the time, if somebody's asking me what I think is the exact same question again, it's because I feel they haven't understood my answer.
Okay.
And so, if you grant me that, then it makes a lot of sense why, if you understand my answer in your case, but I feel like you're not understanding my answer in Meredith's case.
You really
Then of
think I
course
didn't
I would
understand
ask
your
my
answer?
right?
You don't think I'm stupid, do
It
you?
seemed to me, no.
Okay, so you really
But you
think
not
I didn't
understanding
understand it?
my answer isn't necessarily continuing. I mean, I'm not great at explaining things often, right?
Like if I was the
be that.
anti PineCreek Doug, and believed everything you believed, I would ask myself, why is Doug asking this question over and again? Oh, he wants me to answer more directly without all these caveats and buts. He doesn't. He just wants a direct, straight answer.
Right, but I'd done that already. My answers were getting longer.
Yeah.
Like I'd answered you in like five words or less the first time you asked it. Yes, in that context. That was my full answer, like multiple times at the beginning.
Okay, we've been over this many times and we just disagree.
I know. Yeah. I'm gonna shut up because I feel like I'm hogging the convo again.
Yeah, remember you entered this voice chat saying you're not going to talk.
Doug just knows how to bring things
Somebody-
out of people. Okay.
The mod needs to mute me. Jesus.
Reed, do you remember him yet in poker?
In poker, I mean, it's probably. I looked up the DMs. It was from 2021. So
When did we
probably a few
start?
times you played, yeah.
When did we start? Wasn't that 2022? Like the PineCreek poker?
I forget.
It was May of 2022, I thought.
Well, there was SE poker first. Remember?
Yeah.
That's what I was a part of.
Was I
Yeah.
a part of every one of those or most of those? Like, did you guys play
It
poker
basically
without
started
me?
for like a month or two. No, you were always there, but it was labeled SE Community Poker and Friends. Remember?
So
Well, first it was my birthday poker. Then there was SE Community Poker for like a month or two.
I have a long, long history of just writing Addison off in my brain.
Yeah, I guess.
You're an Addison amnesiac, yeah. I mean, I've called into your show multiple times.
See, even that I don't remember.
I know. Go. I don't know if you tagged me or whatever, or put it in the tags, my name or what. But I'm there on your stream multiple times. I'm in that video that you're critiquing that Reed sent you about the SEI board meeting. There's been, multiple occasions where you have had me at the forefront of your mind, and somehow I've forgotten again.
Like even when I search my YouTube videos under Addison, nothing comes up.
Well, yeah, like you said, you're awful at tagging shit, so that makes sense.
What did we talk about when you called in?
I don't know. I think theism at one point, maybe trans stuff at one point. More theism stuff, or like probably SE stuff. I think I asked you questions about like SE methods and stuff like that at one point. It's been like three or four times I've called into your show.
And Addison, I want to say this, getting back to that video I did publish. I published it not so much because of you. I published it because of Meredith. So don't think it's about you. It is about you a little bit, but like to me.
Oh, so I'm not living in the Truman Show? Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, so like to me, the whole concept of these gender versus sex terms, and for someone to be a trans woman and claim to be female, to me that just makes no sense, because and claim to have dysphoria, to me it's borderline contradictory, because how can you have dysphoria if you are who you are? Like you're female and you're a woman. Where does the dysphoria lie? And so I think, and maybe someone here can explain it to me like I'm a child, in order to have gender dysphoria, you have to have a mismatch between your internal experience and your biology.
Yeah, maybe this will help clear it up. Like, you can be cis and have gender dysphoria, I think. So, like a common example is like men's height, or like men going bald, or women with their breast size and things like that.
That's dysphoria, but not gender dysphoria, is it?
Well, it's targeted towards the gender. If in some way that woman feels like she's less of a woman, or if that man feels like he's less of a man, that to me is and they feel like they're becoming more of a man or a better man, or the more ideal version of a man if they were taller, or whatever it is, hair plugs or whatever. That's gender dysphoria to me. So you can be a man and your ideal version of a man. And
so if I desire to have,
so
if I desire to have a full thick head of hair and that's long like a woman's, I'm partially trans?
Well, no.
I partially have dysphoria?
Again, dysphoria is like a certain level, right? An intensity or whatever. So if one day you wake
that's
up,
why I said partially.
Thought, yeah. So repeat the question again, just so I can.
So if I desire to have thick, full head of hair that's long, sort of like Fabio or whatever, am I partially gender dysphoric?
If in some way that would make you feel more or less of a man, then I think that's gender dysphoria. Yeah, it's dysphoria.
To me, that's
based
insane.
Around gender. Like, how is that not gender dysphoria?
To me, that's at least partially insane.
Now, it depends, right? You could have that feeling and it have nothing to do with gender, and it could just be to do with preference, or like, I don't know, you like the hair out of your eyes or something like that if you want short hair or whatever, right? That's not gender dysphoria, because it's got nothing to do with gender there. And it might not be dysphoric.
Yeah, and again,
dysphoria can have lots of different things, and if it happens to be about gender, then it's gender dysphoria.
And even
then, people experience that.
Even then, like a full head of hair that's long, if that's associated with females,
if you associate that,
right? If I associate that with females,
Scandinavia,
that's a
Make
stereotype.
you a strong
right?
Viking man or whatever, right? Well, if you're a Scandinavian Viking man, you might feel like cutting your hair short is losing masculinity somehow. It's all based on your view of it, right?
Right, and that comes down to culture and not so much biology.
Society and. Well, it's the contrast between those things. Your biology is your length of hair that you're measuring or whatever, right? How big your breasts are or whatever it is.
What is Meredith in the United States? Like what state?
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself and set a timer for 5 minutes and not allow myself to unmute.
Well, I'm just because like Meredith said that on the driver's license it says female. I'm going, what? What state allows that? Oh, you're in Australia. Oh, that makes sense. Australians are weird. Because I honestly don't think like any doctor who looks at you, Meredith, from a biological point of view, no sane doctor is going to view you as a female. They're going to view you as a male biologically. That's just, I mean, to me, it's borderline insane to think otherwise. And so, in the only sense that Australia views you as a female, I think, is just not to hurt your feelings, right? Because isn't female and male biological terms that refer to biology? And woman and man are gender terms that are social constructs? So in what way biologically are you female? Anybody else can answer that for me. It's a very simple question. I don't think doctors think you clearly have no idea what you're talking about. I don't care. Well, I'm not meaning to say these things to hurt your feelings or anything else, but to me, this seems like a no-brainer. If indeed female and male are biological terms, in no way are, and you've admitted to me you're not intersex, so we don't even have that complication. In no way are you a female. And the only other reason why I can see why it would be put on your medical records or driver's license is for the social aspects, to lower your anxieties maybe or something. I don't know. But it's not true based on the definition of male and female that you're a female. It's not true. You're a male based on that definition. And like to me, it seems crazy that a country who would adopt, if they adopt that definition, would put an F on your driver's license. I can't think of any reason why a government would put an F on your driver's license other than to help you feel better about yourself. Someone can give me another explanation. Again, I'm under the assumption that male and female are biological terms. It's not true based on your definition of male. I don't think it actually has any gender marker on the license for my stay on the record, but it appears elsewhere. Oh, okay, so it's not on your driver's license, but it's on your medical records, you told me.
Should there be a social definition of female?
A social definition of female. Like, to me, that doesn't even make sense, Reed. A social definition of female. Like,
I would say female should be exclusively biological.
Yeah, I agree.
Usages.
Like, this is like why the gender terms become nonsensical or irrelevant if the biological terms are not separated from them. Right?
It's already muddying the waters to conflate a woman with a social role, not adult human female. So making female now open to potentially a different usage, including social roles, that's really muddying the waters.
Yeah, and I desire this, and I dare anybody to make this happen. Bring, like, anybody who Meredith would champion, like, bring me your champion. Bring me Addison. Bring me your champion who's an expert in this field. And I will ask very simple, basic questions like this. And I predict this person will turn red and be embarrassed. Or bloviate till the cows come home about blah, 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 blah. I mean, you totally have to change the definition of male and female to make this work. And then if you do, then you're left saying, well, what's the distinction between male, female, woman, and man then? And then if you do that, then where does this gender dysphoria lie? Like you go down this pathway of it's a house of cards. You pull one out, the whole thing falls. What I mean by champion, Meredith, is someone, an expert in the field that you think represents what you believe and can articulate it in a very expertise way. I would love to talk to this person. As long as they don't talk fast and long like Addison.
I'm just trying to imitate Destiny, clearly.
I think Destiny would take my view. But yeah, you kind of do talk like Destiny. Yeah. Are you on Adderall?
No, probably should be. With my ability to retain attention on things I don't want to do.
Because I remember,
But no.
I was talking about, what topic was it? Oh, it was on critical race theory. And I remember Nathan say, oh, okay, here's a quasi-expert, not a full expert, but, someone who's very knowledgeable about it. He came on my show. And, I mean, it was a mess for him, in my opinion. I know it sounds kind of braggadocio for me to say this, but do you remember that, Reed? What was the guy's name? I mean...
Aaron Rabinowitz.
Yeah, hit that guy. And it just... It was insane. And it's like, I hear time and time again, well, Doug, you just don't understand. You need to talk to the experts. You need to follow the science. You need blah, 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 blah. Well, bring them on. My guess is they would be scared to talk to a guy like me or even Peter Boghossian, because we'll ask very simple questions that will show the inconsistencies and the tensions in their worldview.
I don't think Aaron would be scared. I think Aaron has been wanting to talk with Peter for a while. And he's on the list currently, so
good for him.
Potentially stay tuned about that.
On what topic?
Whatever.
Critical race theory?
That or whatever.
Okay.
Gender. Trends.
Because I remember I made a ton of shorts off that guy. And he got so defensive. But then he said to me on Twitter, oh yeah, keep making them. And I had made 2 at that point. And I did. I made like another 2 or 3. And it just, like he was saying really silly stuff. The stuff that I remember the most is I don't even grade my students' papers, and I don't dock them for being late because many of them are from a protected class. I mean, when you have that level of feel sorry for them, it's like really tough to talk to people like that.
There's this book called How to Have Impossible Conversations. Don't know if you've heard of it, Doug.
I've never read it. My wife has. No, actually, she read a Manual to Create an Atheist. I haven't read that one either. Is it good? Have you read it?
I wouldn't recommend.
Okay. Oof, oof.
The author seems a little bit off his rocker,
I don't need to read the book. I know the author personally.
I think the author needs to read that book and take his own advice.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, Peter is definitely... we've already talked about this. He's thin-skinned with certain people. Protected class. There's evidence dropping standards harms people. Yes, I agree with that, actually. We should keep standards high, even with protected class people. Just because they're an oppressed minority doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior. Well, look at that. Matt and I agree on something. Even though I'm a terrible person who misrepresents people on YouTube.
I wouldn't say, if I'm gonna make some like weird like shame judgment, where like you should be ashamed of misrepresenting, but it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, right? Like, I'm
Well,
going
that's
that
true.
far.
Yeah, that's right. Although I'm not.
You've been an insane
I'm not ashamed.
narcissist prick.
I'm not ashamed
What would
either.
make me say that?
And if it's any consolation, the video with you in it has only 2,100 views or something like that. So only about 2,100 people heard you talk fast and be agitated. So that's not too many.
That's cool.
And the one with Meredith, if Meredith is still here. Yeah, that's a short I made, and that one only has... In order for gender dysphoria to having even any meaning, you have to admit you're a male. Only like 600 views.
Do I?
I think so. It's all's good. Well, there's only about 600 people in the world who think the worst of you, Meredith. It's okay. Matt, are you talking to me in the comments?
No, he's talking to Kim Jong-un. Of course he's talking to you, Doug.
Wasn't sure.
His comments are literally about taking responsibility for the audience, a conversation that Matt has previously had with you. Like, who do you think he's talking to?
Calm down. I'm just making sure. Would you consider banning people who are abusive in the comments given your guest didn't consent to be there? I've actually banned many people.
Especially if they make body armor jokes.
Like, you're assuming I don't. And also, YouTube does a pretty good job of figuring out who the spammers are. Anybody who uses vile language, it automatically goes into the spam box. Like, if you really wanted to cry, I'll show you my spam box. That will make you cry. Same with you, Addison. If you really want to know what some people think of you, I can show you my spam box.
I've publicly talked about this stuff many times before and had myself ridiculed about it before.
Okay.
I've done hour-long interviews with SEers and trans things and shit like that, right? Like, this is not new to me.
So what you're saying is you're strong.
My last role before I quit the game industry was in community management. Like, do you know? You know, I got death threats for goddamn game updates, Doug. Like, I'm used to this shit. Okay.
That's good. I mean, it's good that you're strong, not that you're getting death threats.
Well, I mean, the game patch did really fucked up the game, so can't really blame them, can you?
Well, yeah. Well, I can't quite relate to gamers.
You and Addison should play mini golf and have more conversations.
I don't think so.
Doug would cut out all the holes that he loses on, you know?
Actually, I don't know. I was about to say that Addison and I have such different personality types that we probably would never, ever be friends in real life. But maybe that's not true. Maybe we could be. But, like, Reed and I are good friends. And part of the reason we are good friends is because Reed doesn't talk much. I like that. And when he does talk, it's to the point. He doesn't ramble. He's almost never agitated. Addison, you're the opposite of Reed. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad guy, but your personality type is that I would not prefer to hang out with you. And I would totally understand if you would prefer not to hang out with me. Because some people just find my personality type so grating, so narcissistic, so pompous. I get it. You're either going to love me or hate me. There's very few people who have a neutral stance on me. And that's just part of my personality type. Although I would love to meet the people who have a neutral stance on me, because the odds are I'd really like them because they're probably very dead inside.
Yeah, I'm not saying play mini golf just to hang out, but potentially to record content that's interesting.
Oh yeah.
I can record it in the in the mode where I'm just watching.
So Addison can accuse me of splicing it up and making him look bad. Addison, do you play VR golf or VR anything?
I think that's where we met in VR. Randomly in big screen.
He can't talk for 2 minutes at the moment. Oh, he's in trouble with the wife.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I forget. Is Addison a he, a she, it, a they? A they, right?
Yeah, I'm a they. No, we met like from me watching your SE videos years and years and years ago, and then popping up in like SE. When we do the events with Darley in the park and stuff, and I like in between people sitting down at the table, you'd like talk to people on Discord and stuff like that. Like I go back, and then after being in the server for a while, when you started to do the big screen VR and stuff like that, that's when I started joining in with that stuff to help record or whatever, or just tag along.
Can I ask something about your pronouns, Addison? Because like if
you can ask.
Because if I'm talking to Reed right now about you, I can't imagine, like maybe 1 in 1,000 times I would use the word they, like naturally. But I'm almost always going to say he. And is that all right with you?
Yeah, I understand that. All right. What exactly are you asking by all right?
Like, would you demand me to change?
Oh, I would prefer it if you used they.
Because
I don't think that's going to happen, though.
No, like, it's not because it's not natural. Like, if I'm
I understand that.
If I'm talking to Reed right now, I say, "Hey, Addison, I had a talk with Addison the other day, Reed, and he said," I'm not going to say they said. It just doesn't seem natural.
Yeah, I understand it's not natural to you.
But it's not like you're going to freak out or anything or get mad at me if I say he.
Well, have I? All the times you've done it so far?
No, well, I don't know how many times I've done it because we kind of always talk face to face or person to person and not like your third person listening. But
no, you referred to me and Addison said this, he, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
You referred to me like
okay, so you are fine with it then as far as you're not going to make a scene about it.
Yeah. Like if we had I don't know, if you were like my uncle and I thought you were just being a dick, then it's more you being a dick, but you using that to be a dick, then I might have an issue with it or something like that. If I had to interact with you personally on a daily basis or whatever. But I'm not going around to like, I don't know, the local shops where I go every day and asking them to like change how they refer to me or whatever. It would just be that very, very, very personal relationship where I'd probably care more.
Because it is much easier for me to call Meredith a she than you a they. Like, I'm just being honest with you. Like, to me, they is just crazy.
Well, you have this is not a slight on you. You don't have an understanding, I think, or at least the how would I phrase this? You don't have you don't think non-binary is cohesive or like is makes any sense, right? So of course you're not gonna naturally use the words for that, right?
Right. Yeah. Like, but at least Meredith has a female name, a womanly name, so it's much easier to say she. But
okay, well, I'll call myself B9624 and start dressing up like a robot. Maybe it'll help you out.
Yeah, start R2D2 maybe or something. Or no,
I'm sure that won't
for they to be more like I do view the pronoun they most times as plural. So maybe if you told me you were actually a trinity.
Well, all I need to do to achieve that is pop in with my other account, and now when you refer to Addison, they is the correct. Check the side. There's 2 Addisons in chat now.
Yeah, I think there's 2 Addisons in chat. Oh.
Yeah, this Addison.
Meredith says on their profile.
And then there's this Addison here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Reed, those Addisons, they are insane.
There you go. It's easier now, right? There you go.
Now it's easier.
I was saying that before in response to, like, you asked about pronouns. It says on, well, one of Addison's profiles. I'm not sure if it says on both.
Yeah,
It
Meredith.
does.
Yeah, I understand that people put it on their bios and stuff, but to me, pronouns are way more meaningful if they're assumed rather than declared or pronounced. Like if you have to pronounce your pronouns, that tells me it can't be assumed, and therefore it's what you're asking is someone is just to share in your identity with you. Even so if I were to meet you in real life, I have no idea what you look like, Meredith. But if you look like a female to me, I would say she, and if you look like a male, I would say he. I would never call you a they or a Z or whatever. But let's say you did look like a male to me, and you said, I want to be referred to as she. I'd say, okay, I can do that, and I have done that here, even though I haven't seen your face. But in my mind, I'm viewing you as a guy all day long. In my mind, I view you as a male, and so it almost becomes this lying. It's like I'm lying to make you feel good.
Yeah, you're lying to Bill when you call him Bill when his birth certificate says William. What a lie.
You think that's a fair analogy?
Yeah, I think somebody's preferring you call them something else, a title, like the pronoun or the name, and it's not the fundamental truth of what their pronoun or they you've assumed.
There's
And
hundreds of
kinda
millions of different names in the world, and there's for centuries, even some languages are wholly feminine and masculine names, pronouns. You honestly think that's a fair comparison?
It's also the case that the opposite's true. Like for hundreds of years in other languages, that isn't the case. But yeah.
Well, in the English language, at least, we have he and she. That's been around for centuries. And
No, not necessarily. We've had like what were the old ones that have now gone extinct? We have ancient pronouns in English. A couple of hundred years ago.
English used to have a gender system, like for regular nouns, which included neuter.
Like derivatives of French.
Oh, look up the Wikipedia article on like
No.
I think they're called ancient pronouns or extinct pronouns, and then look at the English ones.
I'll find a Wiktionary page. Hold on.
This is all silly to me. Are you guys actually pushing back that he and she have historically been the main pronouns in the English language, at least for the last 300 years?
I mean, if you're gonna make like wild, if you're gonna make some like appeal to, the language has been like this for so many hundred years, then
I said centuries, which includes the last 300 years, right? Are you guys pushing back that the main pronouns are he and she?
Main. If you include centuries and you include the word main, that's where the pushbacks are going to come in. If you include one of and change centuries to like 100 years, then yeah, of course we can, or whatever it is, right?
I want to ask Meredith the same question I asked you, Addison, about pronouns. So, Meredith, if I were to meet you in real life, and I said to you, right to your face, you look like a male to me, would you be bothered by that? You definitely sound like a male.
Probably to some small extent.
Like you sound.
Yeah.
If I was to, let's say I didn't know, I came to this conversation, I didn't know you at all, that you were trans. Like I would bet close to $1 million that you're a guy, you're a male, just based on your voice alone.
Congrats. Yeah, I mean, I haven't worked on it enough. Like, I'm well aware of that. Thanks, but
okay. So given that
the chromosome checked.
Given that you're aware of this and that it's very natural for people to make these assumptions, is it so bad that if they were to call you she, knowing that in their brain they're thinking he, is that so bad?
Well, that's where that understanding comes in, Doug. That's why we, like, it matters how much the person's close to us, or how much they know of these topics, or if they're trying the intent behind it, or whatever, right? All of those things would diminish that.
I guarantee you that there's people who love Meredith who still view Meredith as a he. Am I wrong, Meredith?
Ah, I haven't. I sort of gave up on talking to my parents a few years ago,
Right.
so I don't fucking know.
Well, okay, but
Um,
if you've given up on them, and my guess is they still love you, at least in some sense, and they view you as a man, as a male, right?
well, that's okay. It's for. It's not because I'm trans. There's a lot more going on there
Okay.
with my parents. Um, yeah. My answer's gonna be basically the same as what Addison said. But like, with with the question you asked before, like, how would I know that someone is saying he in their head? How would
They
I
t-
know that?
They would tell you, like for example,
Like, I
if
can't read minds.
I know, no, but if I told you, like if you and I were to meet in real life, do you think it would be a dick move of me to say, "Hey, look, I'll call you she,"
One sec.
but um, I'm actually, if I say he, it's because I'm viewing you as a man, a male. Like, so I basically come out and tell you that.
I mean, you like, but I mean that's what you're already doing, like now, and the
Right.
other time we talked. So like, I mean, I guess it bothers me to some extent, but like not, you know,
Like for example, if you were to think of me as a woman right now,
not that much.
as a female, I'll be honest with you, it wouldn't bother me one bit.
Based PineCreek gender abolitionist. Yes, get on that train.
Well, no, the reason why it wouldn't bother me is because I know it's not true. And so I think the trans people where it bothers them is they know that the person who is making this claim that they view you as opposite of what you want to be referred to, that they have justification and they have a good case, and that they're not passing as the gender that they wish to pass as. So this is why I say
It's the same, Doug. You have the same frustrations. You have the same frustrations with theists who tell you that you know that God is real and that you're mad at him. Very small frustration. You might not give a shit about what they say or whatever, but it's still slightly frustrating that they
no.
think that.
I honestly, it doesn't bother me one bit.
Okay, well, you've heard many of your peers push back against that and say that's annoying. That isn't what I've been telling you this whole conversation. Why are you putting that on me? You understand that people get frustrated about that. It's just the same thing as a small level of frustration, or you prefer it if they weren't saying that or assuming that when you're telling them no, they're not, or whatever. It's not just because you think that they're picking away at some truth that you're trying to hide from yourself. It could also be that you are just in your mind self-reporting exactly how you feel, and
Yeah.
they're assuming the opposite about you or whatever. That can also be quite frustrating or slightly frustrating.
Yeah, but the main point I'm making with all this is that I think, and I think we talked about this the other day, that what some trans, I'll say some trans people want is not for only people to use the correct language, but also to believe it. They're asking for someone to share in the identity that they themselves want to be identified as. And I think that's taken it.
I mean,
To me, that's thought.
oh, sorry.
To me, that's like thought crime. It's like you're asking people to
But
participate.
you understand that those people would be using different definitions, right? Most of them.
Yes.
And so they're hoping that you would assume or go over to their side or however you would phrase it with their definition.
Okay,
And so it wouldn't be a thought crime. It would
okay,
be
but
just you
that's
using
fine.
the term
But
differently.
they have to realize that that's nothing more than a hope.
Yeah, just like if I hope you call me Bill instead of William, it's just a hope.
Yeah, and to be able like my advice to trans people is to build yourself up to the point where you're strong enough that you don't care. You don't
Well, that's
care.
what we're saying. It would be a slight that's why I tried to analogize it to the Christianity that's written in your heart. If you're a hardened atheist, you've heard that a bazillion times, it's not going to be that frustrating. But it's still slightly frustrating. There's a small level of like, oh, for God's sake, what are you doing?
Yeah, and again, I would say you accept the things you can't control, and if what you can control is your level of frustration. If you practice, you can use certain cognitive techniques. So
And that's what we do. We're trying to explain to you that we go through these thought processes. You know, we're judging the intent, right? That's the thought process where we're doing exactly what you're saying. We're
well, no, but
like, is this person actually trying to
the
be a
the
dick?
intent
Well, no,
is
they're probably
irrelevant.
not. So,
The intent is irrelevant. Let's say the person is trying to be a
well,
dick.
to me, it's very relevant.
Yeah, like so. Let's say someone is intentionally trying to be a dick to Meredith and say you're a he. You're a male. No. Now, if
Yeah, that's obviously more frustrating than someone who just
right,
isn't doing that.
but my advice to a person like Meredith would be to say, well, definitely walk away from that person, and shrug it
Yeah.
off.
Yes, and part of shrugging it off is like rationalizing it or going through the process of taking in your initial frustration. Like you might be like, "Oh, that fucking sucks," but then realizing, "Oh, maybe the person didn't intend it or whatever," right? And then that reduces that, "Oh, that fucking sucks" level. That is shrugging it off, or how you sum that up. That's
Not sure.
at
Yeah,
least what we can
I'm just
explain.
not sure what you think. I'm curious. Like, what do you think you're giving me with this like advice? Because I've been dealing with exactly this for I don't know however many years now, and I've been doing pretty much what you're already saying,
Yeah, well, hey
with a bit of
Meredith,
nuance that you're missing out on. But
Meredith, I don't know you, so I'm just using you as an example. Like, so my main point, like many, it's more trans activists actually than trans people, like basically cis people who want to virtue signal and say that they're support of the queer community will talk like this. Like you have to give your pronouns in your profile so we can normalize it and blah 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 blah. And if I was trans, I'd say no. I don't care if you put your pronouns. I'm abnormal. I'm not normal. I'm trans for goodness sake. I have dysphoria for goodness sakes. I am not normal. I'm abnormal. I've accepted it. And I'm not.
Just people can
I'm not asking the world to succumb to my every need. Just don't kill me, please. Let me eat in peace and that sort of thing. Like this would be my attitude.
yeah,
Well,
Do you go this
I
hard
mean,
on
it
the
generally
people
like
who are like, I don't know, like if there's a guy who's like, I'm going to China to get the leg extension thing because I feel like it will make me more of a man. Are you going to go in this hard on him? On the cis people who
do you
do
think
that
I'm
as well?
going hard right now? I mean, you haven't
Well,
seen me go
I'm
hard.
just a term of phrase, like attacking it or pointing at
Yes.
it or picking at it.
Yes, I go this level of hard with woke people all the time on completely
No.
different topics.
With cis people who would have like women who have breast enhancement surgery, and if that woman was to claim it makes me feel more like a woman, would you go in as hard as her or
No,
pick at her?
no. Unless it's
Okay, why?
unless it's a say a girl at 13 wants breast implants, and I say no. If your parents allow this, they're probably stupid. But for a 22-year-old, I wouldn't care.
Well, you've got two cases where a trans person and a cis person is taking an action to reduce their anxiety or to reduce the bad feelings and to make them feel more like the gender that they are. And
I
one
have
of
no
them's
problem with
judged.
that as long as they're adults.
Okay, but you're saying you have an issue with trans people, adults, doing that, saying that.
Saying what? But that
The
they want
points
to.
you were just making about shrugging it off or whatever.
Oh,
or not to be
I thought I
bothered
was
by it.
clear. I said that it's more the trans activists who are doing this than the trans people, in my experience. The ones who say,
Okay.
"Oh, we have
So
to
hold
put your."
up the trans activists then. And
Okay.
would you go in it? Would you go? That's one side, and then the other side is like a cis person who's claiming they're doing it to feel more like the gender that they are. Would you say the same to them as you would to the trans activists?
Yes, I honestly don't
Okay.
actually quite understand what you're saying, but I'll say yes.
Okay, that's consistent at least. Do you find it hard to imagine that there are women out there who would claim that breast enhancement would make them feel more like a woman? Or their version of a woman,
Yes,
or their
that
ideal of a
happens.
woman, or whatever it is.
Yes, that happens.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not.
And then you can imagine the same for lots of different things, like not just breasts, but like whatever it is, right, about their body.
Yes, I have. What in the world point are you trying to make?
Just that cis people do this as well, not just trans people or trans activists. This is a human experience.
Yes, Have I ever said otherwise?
I'm just simply clarifying for myself, asking you if you are consistent across the board.
My main thing with
I'm not
trans,
making a point.
I've been
or
very clear.
catching you or anything.
People who watch my channel, no, I've been very clear with my stance on the trans issue, and that is, don't believe that kids, children, young teenagers, there's a fuzzy area where the cutoff is, but should get HRT, should get any type of drugs, get any type of surgery for the purpose of trans. And I also have been very clear with trans issues on
The purpose of trans.
and then being also very clear with the issue of men and women's sports and changing rooms and that sort of thing. Those are really the only issues I care about. If an adult wants to get a surgery and take off a penis or add breasts or whatever, and I'm more libertarian in that sense. They can do what they want. Although someone made a great comment to me the other day that maybe, like, if let's say someone is extremely high on autism or even schizophrenia, they're 26 years old, 28 years old, and they say they're trans and they want to get some type of reassignment surgery. Then I think society can step in and say, is this person cognizant enough to make such a decision?
Yeah.
So that's my stance on trans. And you can agree with some of it, you can disagree with some of it. When it comes to pronouns, like my current stance is that I will be nice, but I'll also be honest.
What's your thoughts on gender abolishment? Can't say that a damn word.
I don't really have a huge stance on that other than to say good luck.
Mm.
Because I think
so if you woke up in a world tomorrow where, I don't know, oh, that's a good anecdote I like to tell. Are you a fan of Star Trek?
No, sorry, I'm not. Why then are you arguing against Meredith? Jan, who says I am? Well,
in the original series of Star Trek.
Hang on, I got to respond to Jan here. I am arguing against Meredith on one point, and that is I think it's ridiculous of Meredith to say that she is female, and at the same time say that you have gender dysphoria. That's the only thing I have against you, Meredith.
I mean, I explained this last time we talked.
Yeah, I know. But in my opinion, that's a crazy belief you have.
As in...
like, to me, I'm just being honest with you. I think you're crazy to think you're a female.
But you don't buy my... Oh, okay, so... I'm just trying to get at what part you don't buy, but... So you're sticking with your male equals penis. I mean, this has been a kind of difficult thing with this discussion.
Yeah, and we've already talked about this, so we can just agree to disagree if you want.
Well, there is a point here I want to make, though, that is a new point. There's been a kind of difficult thing with this discussion, which was that you've been kind of pulling between your idea of what male and female are, and then your perception of, like, what trans activists commonly say or whatever, like what the sort of woke take is meant to be, and then what I actually think, right? And it's kind of hard for me to, like, answer questions and, you know, try to deal with this without, you know, trying to get at this without, I don't know, just making a dog's breakfast of it.
Are male and female biological terms in your view, Meredith? Lean yes, lean no.
Are they biological terms? I mean, they...
Exclusively.
Exclusively?
Yeah, would you say that male, female are exclusively biological terms?
No.
Okay, and there's our disagreement. I would say yes to that.
Okay. No, I mean, I would defer to, like, how words are used, because that's how words work.
Okay.
and
Yeah,
people
like my
use
personal
male and female and like
Meredith,
masculine and feminine
So if let's say me
my
and
personal
outside of
stance, which
biology
Meredith
all the
might
time.
disagree with, is that those words should be reserved just for biology, and that it would be simpler. But that isn't what seems to happen in the real world. People seem to use male and female sometimes in social senses.
yeah, and I think I know the reason why some people do that. And by the way, when you say some, I think you and I both know that that's a very small percentage of the society who will use female in a social sense.
No, I disagree.
What
I think
Yeah.
percentage of the
all
world
time.
do you think like would, let's say we're talking English here, what percent of the English world, speaking world today would use
I think most people don't. I think they use it in a sort of semi interchangeable way with gender. So you'll
okay, but
see
what
them not
percentage would
thinking
use
about
it? What percentage would
most people, I don't know, 90% of people or whatever.
90% of people would say that female is not exclusively a biological term?
Well, that's a weird because I think what I'm claiming is that I think 90% of people like don't think about it, and so if you start to question them, they might start to think about it and then say, "Oh no, yeah, this
Right.
is a biological term or whatever." But I
Okay,
think most
so
people,
for
we're talking
the
about how they
people who
use
think
and how
about
they
it,
act.
what percentage of people who think about it, who have thought about this, view
Oh, that's
male
different,
or
I don't know.
female as exclusive biological terms?
I don't know, but I think that's not most of the population. I think most of the population are thinking about this.
My guess is it's
Usually.
99% view female, male as exclusive biological terms.
Oh,
I mean,
awesome.
when I
So
say
now
like,
you're asking me of,
Project.
of those people,
What's that?
which is a different question.
I was gonna say when I say, oh, we asking Reed, sorry.
But Meredith, like when you say that you are a female and you're not intersex, you were born with testicles and a penis, you don't have ovaries, you don't have a uterus, you're XY, let's assume you get genetic testing. When you say you're a female, after all those facts, I view you the same as a Catholic claiming that the bread has become the body of Christ.
All you have to do.
I gotta clip that. You gotta give me permission to clip that.
But Doug, it's silly because you've heard Meredith over and over and over again claim that they're using it not in that purely in that way.
Right.
So
and
if they had
yeah.
claimed, I'm using it purely in that way, then of course it would be silly or whatever.
okay.
But they're not. So why?
Okay.
Why are you making a point?
Right.
I got to admit something
Yeah.
here. I got to admit something here. Like Reed, me, and some of our close friends, we view each other as elephants. So when you hear us use the word elephant, please realize that we're talking about cis heterosexual males. Okay? That's how silly I view what Meredith is saying. Well, you got to understand we're using female in a different way. Well, you got to understand we're using the word elephant in a different way. This is how silly
Okay,
this is.
Yeah,
Sir,
but what
may
we're
I
also
clarify?
saying is when we go out and look at society and how they're using it, they're also using it in this way that we are. Like,
Who?
for example, every single ward in an NHS hospital will will try and place you based on gender identity and presentation. So that's literally doctors using the word female ward in a way that you're saying isn't happening or whatever, right? Like,
Okay, but that's
every single thousands of doctors across the UK.
you said
are
gender
using it in a
identity,
social-
right?
Yeah, and they'll
Okay.
place you on a female ward.
Yeah, they'll place you on the female
Sure.
ward. But if we were to hook up, let's say, I don't know, 100 doctors at random.
My only point there, Doug, is
Addison,
we are
please.
viewing how society is using it, and so one.
I'm gonna
instance
make a
is
claim
the whole
here.
of the NHS uses it that way.
I'm going to make a claim here. I'm going to claim that if you took 100 doctors at random and put lie detectors on them, and then asked these, and then have the 100 doctors examine
They're
Meredith,
reliable.
and have 100 doctors examine Meredith. Okay, maybe not a lie detector, but let's say God himself will give thumbs up or thumbs down if they're lying. Okay, and they examine Meredith, and let's say all of them are woke doctors. I mean, they are so compassionate towards the needs of others. I mean, they're just very woke doctors. But we have this lie detector, and we ask them, is Meredith male or female? I would propose to you that 99 out of the 100 would say Meredith is a male. But we're going to call
Well, I
Meredith a
propose to you
female
that if
because
we're as woke as Meredith, Then they're going to be using it in a social sense as well as just the purely biological sense,
right.
aren't they?
They're going
clearly they're not going to answer like that.
Anderson, right. This is my point. They're going to say that Meredith is a female to spare feelings and to make Meredith feel good about herself, and so she feels comfortable in the ward she's in and all this sort of thing. But when it comes down to the biology, Meredith, when it comes down to the core biology, I bet you if Yahweh himself could tell you, yeah, these doctors are telling the truth, or no, they're lying, they're going to say, no, Meredith is a male.
That's a different claim. We've been talking about the overall usage, not just the biological usage.
Right.
And
I'm talking about just the biological usage.
Yes, but you haven't been for the last 2 minutes. We've been talking about what we look at society, and that's the whole point of why I brought
Addison,
in the
you're not
doctors
listening to me. You're not listening to me. I'm saying that in the social context, yes, they're going to call Meredith a female. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that when it comes to biology, using the term male and female in the biological context, 99 out of 100, if not all of them, 100 out of 100 is going to say Meredith is a male. Full stop.
Yeah, the same answer. If they have other usages, and you ask about those, then yeah, that's when you're going to have the swap over, right?
So if we're looking,
that you find ridiculous, or
if you agree that male and female are exclusive biological terms, which you don't, which you and Meredith, or maybe you do, Edison.
I think they're not being used in that way, but I personally would prefer that they were. They give me more utility.
Yeah, I agree with you, and so this is where Addison and I disagree with Meredith, but I think it becomes.
I would still want Meredith to have that utility, just using a different word. That's all.
Yeah, but it would be just for Meredith's own psychological benefit, right? It had that would be the only utility. It would not be a utility to society.
No, it's because I believe the self-report. So it's more like it'd be granting utility to Meredith of correctly describing herself.
But it's not correctly describing herself biologically.
Well, I think she is.
Do you believe, Addison? Hand to the Bible that you don't believe in. Do you believe Meredith is? I know. Do you believe Addison is a female? And pretend you don't care about Meredith's feelings. Do you believe Meredith is a female, biologically?
Biologically, no, not using the way that I use those terms.
And I would say almost
if we're talking in any
every doctor on the planet is going to agree with you after having examined Meredith. So the only sense that Meredith is female is in the sense of feelings or identity or socialness.
Because if those words are currently, if for example, female, which I would, how I answered, it's what I prefer or how I hope to abuse or whatever. But if we look out in reality and society and we see people getting utility and understanding each other every single day, by conflating those terms and using what I would hope is just a biological word for social usages, then of course, no, then it changes my answer.
And yet you have not disagreed with anything I just said, because I said the exact same thing. And it's almost like you're pushing back.
No. Well, because the difference is you think that all of the usages out there of the biological word are purely just the biological usage, and I don't think they are. That's the difference.
Well, I'll even give you 99%, not 100. How's that?
Well, I'm trying to make.
My guess is you agree with me.
For example, no, I don't. I've made it clear that I don't. What are you talking? Oh, it's glitching again. Reset PineCreek.exe. You honestly think so? But why do you think Meredith is a male then? Because of the way that I use those terms.
Okay.
It's referring to like gametes and biology and things like that.
So if
I use them, I would prefer they wouldn't be used in any social sense whatsoever.
Okay, so if when I say elephant, I mean anybody who plays in the PineCreek poker. So, am I an elephant?
Well, if enough people start to use that usage, that I would gain utility from it, and
what percentage of society would have to start using the people who play on the PineCreek poker nights?
I don't know.
What percentage do we need to have? What quorum do we need to say that everybody who plays on PineCreek poker nights are considered elephants?
I don't know. When did you think that queer started referring to the gay community rather than like happiness? Like what percentage? I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint. Right?
Well, right.
When did
I would say
faggot
it's
not refer to a bundle of sticks or refer to a homosexual? Like I don't know. When enough people started using it that way.
Right. I'm asking
right. It
what's
also
enough?
depends on like
I don't
relevant
know. I'm
linguistic
telling you, it's blurry. I'm
communities.
asking you to imagine that situation, and I hope that if you imagine or think back to when the word gay was, queer or whatever was swapped around, you'd probably find it hard to pinpoint the exact moment you felt that or whatever.
I would say it has to be at least 50%.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not thought about that.
And there's no way on earth you can convince me right now. I'm doxastically closed. that over 50% of the world will view Meredith as a female.
Is there a chance that you're in a matrix and I wake you up from
Well,
it right
okay.
now and you find out that? I mean, he said
Hey,
he's 100%
y'all keep
doxastically
talking
closed. I
about
mean,
Meredith and interrupting her, and she's trying to say something.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up like I think a missing aspect to consider here is like linguistic communities, right? Because if we're talking about like every English speaker, I mean even that's sort of gonna have quite fuzzy boundaries. But like if you think about some very specialist subject like astrophysics or something, there's gonna be words used in astrophysics that like 0.0001% of English speakers or something, use and know what they mean, but it doesn't mean, the usage of those words is still valid because it is relevant to that linguistic community, right?
Okay.
So with your elephant example or whatever, like it's not like sure, if there is some linguistic community that uses that, I mean, I guess it might be slang or something. I don't know, but so it's we're talking
I
more
gotcha.
about like with how a word works, yeah.
So I'm going to paraphrase you and steal woman you. You're saying that with it, that's pretty good, right? This is YouTube gold. You got to give me permission to put this on. So I'm going to steal woman you and say that within your community of friends, colleagues, whatever, they view you as female. Correct, Meredith?
I guess how is this being asked though? Like, do they view me as Doug female? I mean, no.
Well, let me put this.
Like,
I'm just asking, do you have a lot of friends who view you as female in a biological sense?
I don't talk to people I know like
Okay.
like that at all.
How about in a social sense? Like, would they, like, if I talk to 100 people that know you personally in the world, and I ask the question, is Meredith female or male? What do you think they would answer?
Yeah, in a social sense, people would say female.
Okay. And in a biological sense, would they say male?
I think they would say fuck off, probably. It depends, but
I believe you when you say that they would tell me to F off. But the question still stands. Would 100 of the people who know you in the world, would they, if they were forced to answer the question honestly, are you a female, do you think they would say?
I mean, I guess you'd probably get a varied answer because, I mean, I largely, hang around trans people, right?
Right.
You'd probably get a varied answer because people have various ways of, like, thinking about all of this.
Okay, so given your answer right now, that even the people who know you the best on this planet would give you varied answers, and given that the vast majority of people who don't know you and just maybe know of you in your situation know that you're not intersex and you have testicles and a penis and all that, and they would say you're male, given that use of language, isn't the utility that you are indeed male?
why? Hold on. Okay. Given that use of language specifically for this one sense of male and female, like we don't. No one. This is why I was like, I don't know. I don't go around asking my friends whether they think I am biologically male and female.
I know, but I'm just
Like-
getting at the utility part, like the usage of words, the use of language. If the vast majority of society, and even the people who know you, you said you're not sure, but it would be varied. That means it's not unanimous. Given that, then the use of language of male and female, I think, under your own admission, is that you are using the common use of language. You are a male.
Sure, in that one sense, but I mean, even
Yeah.
then, I literally said varied, and now you're just defaulting to male.
A thought experiment is like, imagine you wake up tomorrow and you've been teleported by some aliens to some like identical Earth, right, duplicate Earth, but they use the gendered terms the other way around, and so everyone's calling you a woman. Like, it might take, like, you're not going to instantly go, oh, well, it's utilitous for me to view myself as a man. You might start referring to yourself as a woman after 50 years in that world or whatever, just, makes more sense or whatever, but it's going to take you a bit of time to switch or over, right, or whatever. Like, it's not just this like, oh well, black and white instant, utility or whatever. There's this self image or this self perception that you would have to override. And again, if you think that I don't know, maybe there's a chance that you might get back to Earth, so you might hold on to that internal image more, and you'd be like, well, no, I am a man, and I'm going to get back to Earth one day and be a man again, and so you might resist that, even if everybody in that world is calling you a woman.
Okay,
Does that seem
so
plausible to you?
your analogy is trying to say, this is what I'm hearing, that we just need more time for society to come around and view Meredith as a female.
It's more of, you can have an internal value that can come, like I used it with racism when we last spoke, right? You can have this internal self value of what you see yourself as, or what is true, or however you want to phrase it. And just because you wake up in a world, or just because you acknowledge that the rest of the world sees it differently or has a different usage or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean that you would change your internal value, or that you could, or anything like that. Like, if you woke up I assume you're not a racist. Let's just assume
We're
that.
all
Maybe not
racists.
best to assume that. Maybe not best to assume that based on your politics channel. But anyway, let's grant you're not a racist. A racist that wants to beat up black people and kill them or whatever, right? And you wake up in a world, I don't know, like tomorrow, where 99% of people are like that. You're not just gonna be like, oh well, time to start beating black people, because it conflicts with that internal sense of who you are and what you are and your values and things like that, right?
I would like to ask Meredith one last question, and then I got to go.
Wait. Just answer that question first.
What is your question? To me, the last 2 minutes of you talking has been gobbledygook.
If I'm targeting the exact
Addison,
thing you're
please.
targeting.
I really don't even care what you have to say.
An overwhelming societal clash with your internal values doesn't just automatically override your internal values.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so can I ask Meredith? Can I ask Meredith one last question here? Can you? This is a tough one. It's probably the toughest question I've ever asked you, Meredith. But I know you're up for the challenge. Can you define for me what is a female?
I mean, my immediate question would be, in what sense? There are multiple different, like, it's polysemous, I would say.
Okay, well, give me a couple senses and then define it in each sense.
I mean, okay, like, so if I genuinely like try and zoom out and say to someone who maybe doesn't speak English or something, how is this word used? Well, it's used in biology, and it's used in biology sometimes for like different sets of chromosomes. It's used in biology sometimes based on which gametes you know what I mean. Which
Yeah, I know what you mean.
gametes
I know what you mean.
an
Okay.
organism produces.
Okay, go to a different
It's
sense
used in
now.
biology for
Go to a
for
different
like
sense.
phenotypes.
I got you.
What?
Chromosomes. I got you. Chromosomes, gametes, phenotypes, organs like uterus, ovaries.
Right.
Okay. Now name a
Yeah.
different sense of how you define
No,
female.
sir. Part of my point is that there are multiple senses within biology, right?
Okay. You want to give like an example?
So I literally just did. Like, what I mean is,
Chromosomes, gametes.
chromosomes is one sense, gametes is another sense, because these don't
They can conflict,
always line
right?
up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do
you have
you,
someone who's chromosomally male and gamete.
I mean,
I got you. I got you.
For
I think
instance, yeah.
you're speaking to the choir here. I think everybody here agrees with that. But can you give me a non-biological sense to define female?
The like non-biological sense. I mean, I would say in common usage, it's used to refer to like people or sometimes things that are feminine, which doesn't help. How do you put it? Like with women and girls and femininity and like that gender category, which
Okay.
is like very broad and
Okay,
fuzzy.
Meredith,
But
look
that's
what you
because
just
the
did.
word is very broad and fuzzy.
Meredith, this is why I think this is a tough question, and this gets, I think, to the core of your tension, dare I say, contradiction within your worldview. Because when I asked you,
Yeah.
hear me out, and you just gave a definition in one sense of the term female, and you mentioned femininity, you mentioned woman,
Yeah.
you mentioned girl, you mentioned gender. Aren't those gender terms and not biological terms? Woman, girl,
Those gender terms are not.
It
feminine.
could be secondary sex characteristics, right?
I mean, this is what I was kind of trying to say before. Is I'm not necessarily personally committed to the idea that like we have this one thing over here that is gender, and we have gender words over here, and we have this other thing over there that is sex, and we have sex words over there, and these two things are completely separate. I'm not committed to that, really. So,
Like, if I tell you, Meredith, that I'm a man, would you ever?
yeah.
If Reed says PineCreek Doug is a cis male, is there any difference between those two terms, cis male, and me saying I'm a man? Do they mean exactly the same thing to you?
No.
Why not? Because you said being a woman, being female has to do with femininity, being a woman, being a girl. Well, I've told you I'm a man, and Reed says I'm a cis male. If they're different, how are they different?
So, I mean, here we get to like complicated things about language. Like, if Reed was saying it, at least, okay, maybe I'm making assumptions here, but like, I might take those words differently a bit, than like if someone I know was saying it, right?
What's the difference?
Someone I know in real life who's trans or something, right?
What's the difference between a cis male and a man?
I, okay, so
You're usually not supposed to
probably
use this with sex terms. It's supposed to be a clarification.
Okay,
Of
sorry.
gender.
Okay, yeah. Let me switch it. What's the difference between Reed calling me a male or a cis man? What's the difference?
That's right.
right. I mean, if you want to put it like that, yeah, I guess that works. So I would assume like for male, like if we were drawing the distinction, then I guess I'd assume that potentially male is in the like Doug biology sense, and cis man is in more of like a social sense.
Okay. So if I call you a male but a woman, I can say you are a male in a biological sense and a woman in the social sense, right?
Sure.
And then the question I have is then why don't you view yourself that way?
Dog. This has been answered at least
Because
10
I'm not
times in
doing
this
a
conversation.
biology experiment on myself.
Yeah.
But we have
Meredith has other social uses of the word male and
we
female.
have biological terms for you, Meredith, biologically. They're called male or female. We have gender terms for you for the social aspect. We call that woman or man. But what you're doing is you answered. I agree with your answer that you gave. What's the difference between a cis man and a male? You said, well, one's more biological and one's more social. But yet it seems like you don't apply that standard to yourself.
Because in total, it's not just the totality of more. There are other usages.
Let's give
When
Meredith a
Meredith
chance.
uses the word female, it's not just that totality of that one segment that you're pointing at, or that even if Meredith agrees that that is more, however you put it, right?
I said
Meredith
if we're
social
specifically contrasting those two. Because, like, so if someone said Doug is a male and it wasn't contrasted with Doug is a cis man, I would. I mean, it depends heavily on the context, but I would be much more likely to take that in the social sense.
Do you think I said I only had one more question, but this is so interesting to me. Do you think, like, let's say 5 years from now, Meredith, you could identify as a man instead of a woman?
I suppose.
Okay, yeah.
Seems unlikely.
Just so I'm clear, what's the 5 years targeting? What's the change in time?
So let's say
affecting it?
5 years from now, Meredith identifies as a man. Right? Currently, Meredith identifies as a woman. Now, I think your answer, Meredith, about the definitions between male and man were good ones because one is more fixed and one is more fluid. So if you did choose 5 years from now, let's say, slowly and gradually, but 5 years from now, you identified as a man, that has changed. You went from woman to man. But what didn't change is your sex. You're still a male in both cases. Would you agree?
Like, I've said that I don't think male and female are always used in a biological sense, and even when they are, there is a lot of different meanings there.
But I'm giving you, I understand, but I'm giving you utility here. This is why people separate the terms, because of exactly what I just said.
Well, we agree on that,
and many people, this is not just a weird hypothetical. This happens in real life where people switch identities, right? They go from one to another. But yet, so that there's great utility in saying that the terms man and woman are more of a social construct, a gender construct. And there's utility in saying, but what hasn't changed is the chromosomes or their certain organs or their gamete production potential, that sort of thing. That hasn't changed. So the utility in...
That's why it would be nice if those words, in my opinion, were only used to refer to those things. But they're not. But they're not informs Meredith's answer to this question you're asking.
Well, I actually think most times I would agree with you, Addison, when it comes to the gender terms, that they're synonyms for sex, but not the other way around. I think when people say male, they're not equivocating. They're not like...
Maybe this is an American thing. Because at least in the UK, like the example you used was horrendous because you picked the UK, like you picked doctors, and again, in the doctors in the UK, like constantly use it in female and male in a social sense as well. So
right, like
there's literally NHS, clarifications that they do that, and so that applies to all of their hospitals,
like Meredith.
All of their doctors.
Can I put forward a hypothetical?
Sure.
Like just pretty quick. So if we pull one random person off the street, right, and we point to another random person on the street and ask, are they male or female? Do you reckon our random person is going to go and do a biological examination, or are they going to... Right.
No,
So
but
what are they going to
Probably
look
going to be
at?
based on secondary sex
but
characteristics, right?
the point, yeah, I agree. They would look at secondary, but the point is that if we, let's say, if I was paid $1 million, I had to come up with the correct answer. There's only one correct answer for individual X. Individual X is they're not intersex; they're either male or female, and I am posed with the challenge of being 100% as close to 100% certain what sex they are. You're darn tootin' I'm going to undress them. You're darn tootin' I'm going to investigate their organs. You're darn tootin' I'm going to have chromosome checks.
But then this is moving away from the questions you're asking Meredith about. Surely, Meredith, you get utility in this world. Okay, maybe if we're going to have genital inspections and all of that sort of shit every time someone wants to refer to you as a male or female, then maybe Meredith's answer would
See,
change.
but this
right?
this is why I keep bringing up the question of like, does it bother Meredith if I refer to Meredith as male? Because my hypothesis is that Meredith's gender dysphoria will increase if I call Meredith a male, and that it's more oppressive, or it's more I don't know. It just hurts for Meredith to view herself as a male. Am I wrong, Meredith?
For me to view myself as a male, yeah. For you to view me, I mean, I care less about what you think, I guess.
I know,
Because,
but
you're a person
someone.
that I've spoken to a couple of times rather than, my self, what do you call it? Self-image.
So I didn't quite get the very beginning part of what you said. Are you saying that in your opinion, would your gender dysphoria get worse if you became convinced, like if you start referring to yourself a male on a daily basis?
I like if I
Weird question.
and had the biological sense in mind, like what would I be doing that for?
yeah,
Why
it's
would I
like
be
if
doing
analogy
that?
question is like, Doug, imagine would it feel weird to you and like not yourself or however you phrase it if you called yourself James every day and like I don't
Well,
know how would that make me
even,
feel?
like, yeah, it's like, what if I got up in the morning and said, "Oh, I have an O negative blood type" in the mirror? Like, it's
Kind
just
of
not
hard
a
to
thing
answer
that
that.
Well,
people do.
well, let's imagine a person is severely obese, and they kind of like, yeah, I should lose weight. Yeah, I should eat better. Yeah, I should exercise. But they never really quite get around to it. But if they were to say that, wake up in the morning and say to themselves, I am fat. I am fat. I am fat. I need to do something about this. I am fat. I can understand. It's only natural that would hurt more to face reality and say, I have a problem. I am fat. I need to do something about it. And I'm proposing to you, Meredith, that the reason why you choose to use male, a biological term, or female, a biological term, to describe yourself is because it does increase your pain, your mental pain.
Well, we're proposing to you it's more based on just how society are using it and like our internal self-reports.
Yeah, internal self-report has nothing to do with sex, in my opinion. How Meredith
Well, if
views
it's social
herself
usage, then
is
it does,
totally
right?
irrelevant to what she actually is.
Right, but if she's using a social usage and that internal self-report is in a social usage sense, then of course it matters.
Yeah, again, I'm talking biology.
Right, but Meredith
I mean,
isn't into all that.
yeah,
Again,
like
it's
if we're
back
talking
to if
about
you thought
my
your
biology,
James in the middle of the day.
I don't like share that much with people. Like, it's like I share that with a doctor or maybe with someone I'm like sleeping with, but I
Like,
don't like.
I've talked to.
I don't get my dick out on a daily basis.
I
Like,
understand, but I've talked to many transgender people, and I've asked them the same question, which I don't think I've asked you yet. And I've gotten, like, it's almost a 50-50 split on the answers. So I'm curious to know what you're going to say. Do you believe, personally, that you were born in the wrong body? No, this is a bit. This is a warning. Full disclosure. This is a bit of a trap question. Because from what I
But it's a very cis person trying to get into trans things question.
So no, but Meredith,
yeah.
do you think the body you were born in is incorrect? Like if you could do it all, if you had the power of going back as a zygote and correct and choose the body to be born in, would you change it?
Okay, so the second
that's a different
question, like
question.
changing
Yeah.
the zygote, yes, sure, I would do that.
Okay, so you would rather have been born in a female body, right?
Sure, yes.
Okay, yeah, and I think some trans people, when I ask this question, they'll say, "No, I was born in the right body," and some say, "No, I was born in the wrong body." But the thing is, by admitting that you would change bodies, and you're kind of admitting that you were born in the wrong body, which means that you have some type of gender brain that's different than the body, the material body. Correct?
It completely depends what you mean by wrong body, right? Do you mean wrong body
Yeah,
as in like assigned by God or the universe? And
No,
how
I
some
mean
trans
I,
people
I
will
mean
think
wrong
that way.
body in the sense of
Sometimes-
that if Meredith had the choice, she would choose a different body. That's what I mean by wrong body.
I mean,
Yeah,
even then, right? So yes, I would choose a different body.
Yeah.
But again, like the hypotheticals get weird here, right? Because remember last time we said, if I was like, teleported to go off and live with some aliens, and I'd never seen another human before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had no idea what like male and female were, gender
Right.
or sex, right? I'm just the one human. Then I probably wouldn't
Right. So
have any care about any of this.
so what I'm getting at is that you would change bodies, which means you're not happy with your current body, which means that you have a belief in your head. It's a belief that you were born in the wrong body or that you are unhappy with your body. It's a very internal belief, right?
Well, okay. I don't think wrong body is a very helpful term, like a helpful way to refer to
Like
it.
it's very similar to, I know you've probably heard the anorexic analogy, but if someone who suffers from anorexia thinks they're fat, they have a belief that they're fat, even though they're objectively skinny based on, let's say, BMI metrics or whatever. And I would say that you have a belief
I have a question, Doug.
that
a
you
weird way
are.
of phrasing it, though, Doug. Like, do depressed people believe that they're depressed? Well, in one sense, they also know they're depressed. They also feel they're depressed. They also think they're depressed. Like, there's lots of different ways you can say that. And belief is a weird way.
Yeah, it depends if you can verify it to outside participants. So if depression can be
Nobody can verify self-reports. You can be the best liar in the world and fake a self-report.
right, exactly. And so therefore now it's sort of like saying nobody can deny that I experienced Jesus on my bed last night. It's a self-report.
Yeah.
But so it's a
Yeah.
belief I have that Jesus came and visited me last night. Even though we had video cameras, we had infrared cameras,
it's
we
a lot
had
easier-
X-ray machines in my room. There's no verifiable
Well,
evidence that Jesus
Sounds
was
like
actually in my
what you were
room.
doing with your dog in your
The,
bed.
the belief fits a lot better there because you're talking about an event that happened, right? Like an event rather than just
Right,
an
you're talking about
internal-
Jesus.
All right.
Jesus in the room, I outside me. You're not talking about my internal experience of myself.
And we use the word belief when talking about events that have happened often in the
Like,
past and things like that.
Well, I
if
could use a
I-
series of events too.
We're not saying we
If I
reject
say-
that word, but it's just a bit of a weird word, and there's also other words that are like very similar that also like fit a bit better or whatever. Like, would you say this person believes they're depressed? In some cases, yeah, but you're also very likely to say this person knows they're depressed or this person thinks they're depressed. This person, yeah. So we're not fully rejecting it. It's just a bit of a weird thing.
Meredith, can I? This is so interesting to me, and I thank you for answering these questions because it's not every day I get to ask a trans person these questions. But can I ask a bit about your family life? Like, did you have a dad who loved you and was active in the home? I know this is.
I mean, I had both parents at home with me until I was like 20 something. Yeah.
Okay. So you did have a dad who loved you, took care of you.
Not well, but yes.
Like, because
I don't know how much detail you want me to go into here.
No, I don't want you to go into much detail because I have a theory that that if we had, and I wish someone would conduct this experiment, but talking about that Jesus incident, and Addison made a good point that this was like a one-off event, but I actually think that not all, but a lot of transness can be explained through many, many, many events from childhood on that have been caused by social interaction. Now, I am not saying, but let me be very clear, I am not saying that it cannot be purely biological. It can be. But this would be a test to figure it out. And
well, we would obviously kind of agree. Like Meredith's made the argument about being on an alien world with no other humans. There, you're going to have none of those social interactions build up, right? So
yeah,
like,
so
of course, it's kind of based on.
So in other words,
partly the social interaction.
Yeah, and so in other words, I'm proposing that if Meredith was born on an alien planet or whatever, Meredith wouldn't be trans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doug, the one way that you can morally rid the world of trans people is gender abolishment. So I think you should get on board with that train, to be honest.
Sorry,
that's how you
laughing at
morally
what Taylor's
trans people.
Sorry, I was laughing at what Taylor said in the chat.
But... Oh, damn it! I thought I was being funny then.
So if my daughter says her Barbie doll is female, and I should tell her she's wrong and that the toy can't be female because they're not biological. TIL, what does that mean? My 5-year-old.
The day I learned.
My 5-year-old is a delusional trans activist that denies biological reality. Ken dolls are male, Barbies are female, says Reed. That's just science.
Oh, this is good.
Okay, I mean, I'm going to provide pushback
This is phenomenal.
Right? Surely they're representations of those things. Like, if you are in your head, like, just viewing, like, people view things and substitute them in their head, right? Like, if you ask them, does this doll have gametes? Well, no, of course not. But they're not thinking about that when they're just playing with the doll, are they? They're like pretending it is a real human.
Right.
And so if they're assuming it's a real human, then it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, we use secondary, this is what we talked about earlier, we use secondary sex characteristics to make pattern-seeking judgments on whether someone's male or female. And as Meredith correctly pointed out, we don't go around doing chromosome tests for people. But I would also say that, probably 95% or 99% of the time, we are correct with these mammal pattern-seeking devices. And, so...
Yeah, there's lots of times where people like you can't tell that someone's trans and you identify them correctly. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But but I would say 95% of the time I'm correct. Especially if they're not wearing makeup.
Rip any woman that doesn't wear makeup.
Yeah, if you don't wear, like, I bet you I could fool people that I am actually a female, a woman, if I went to Universal Studios and got a professional makeup job.
All right. Weird flex, but okay.
And talk like this and wear high heels. Anyhow, this has been a blast.
Doug, before you go, I want to ask you something.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, please say hi to your family. That's what you should have said. That would have been hilarious.
Oh, yeah, say hi to your family. Well, that's coming at the end, So I'm going back to my Star Trek analogy and Star Trek anecdote. So in the original series, there was a scene where Captain Kirk, or whoever it is, the starship captain, brings up some historical Abraham Lincoln. Like, they pluck him out of time and they bring him up onto the starship. And he's kind of taken aback by all of the different races that are there. And he walks over to Uhura, who is the black lady, and he calls her an offensive term, but he doesn't mean it. It's just offensive because that word hasn't been used anymore. It's the N word, but not the ER or the A version, the other one. And he walks over and he goes, "Oh, what a beautiful N word you've got here."
Negro,
right?
Is that what you're saying?
And that's the word. Yeah. And so, he there's a kind of a moment where you expect Uhura to be taken aback by this or offended or whatever. But actually what happens is Uhura takes a few moments, and Captain Kirk actually has to step in, and Abe Lincoln himself steps in and apologizes, and Captain Kirk says, we don't do that on the ship or whatever. And what's so beautiful about that scene to me is that racism and the idea of focusing on race is so far in the past that Uhura doesn't even know what it is and can't be offended by it. And so to me, I would like the same thing when it comes to gender. Now, obviously, I don't act race blind or gender blind in this current world, because that would cause a lot of harm to, say, women who are being subjugated in, Middle East or whatever, right? But how do you feel about that as a goal overall? Race blindness or gender blindness?
I would say race blindness is great. I would say gender blindness is a little tougher because of our pattern-seeking mammalian brains. Like, I think because we evolved for reproduction, we have to know, okay, is my thingy going to fit in that thingy or not to have kids? Like we want
Well,
to
in
be
this sense, you would have the biological thing still. So you'd have maybe male and female, but you wouldn't have the social uses. Or it's more that the social uses wouldn't be focused on. So you still have black people on the ship and white people on the ship, but they don't pay attention to that at all.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, but I think the progressive wokes they wouldn't have anything to complain about if we had a colorblind society.
Okay, mark PineCreek down as on board the gender abolitionist train.
I said race abolitionist, not gender.
Okay, so imagine the same thing. Again, you still have the underlying properties, you still have utility in figuring out who to date and things like that, but we wouldn't have this societal split or this focus. Not everybody would become this androgynous mesh. You'd still have all the expressions. You'd still have long hair and pink hair and all of that sort of stuff, but it wouldn't be.
Okay, I got a question.
I
got a question in that within the hypothetical. How do you know who has a vagina and who has a penis?
There might be social ways to figure that out.
Like, would the people with vaginas wear purple hats or something?
Yeah, they'd probably be like, well, not something like that, right? But there'd be social ways to figure out.
And in this hypothetical,
find out when you need to know.
Yeah, like the current ways, but it would just be the labels and the focus of the society would be stripped away.
Okay, so somehow we know who's the male and female. And so in this thought experiment then, I guess it's obvious that men are no longer attracted based on looks.
Men are what, sorry?
Men are no longer attracted based on looks, and women are no longer attracted based on touch, feel, and words.
Oh, no. You'd be I don't know, like I'm a gynosexual, is how you phrase it, right? I'd still be attracted to big breasts and those vaginas, those sorts of things. But it's just, those would be like...
Would they be hidden?
Biological things and certain like social things. I just wouldn't label those social things as women anymore.
Okay.
I'd still be attracted to them.
Okay, so basically everything's the same. You just take off the labels, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and the way that society is split. So just allow me maybe a minute or so here, and this will really illuminate this area. Imagine you've got a parallel Earth. And in this Earth, all of the underlying properties that we have are the same. They have sex and gender and all of that stuff, right? But they've got this sort of societal split, and they call it smite. And so if you're over 6 foot, then you're a biggie. And if you're under 6 foot, you're a smallie. And maybe, throughout history, they focused on that a lot more. They've cared a lot more about if you're a biggie or a smallie. And so their society split on it. Maybe there was segregation of the biggies or the smallies at one point, and they've overcome that with civil rights for the biggies, that sort of thing in their past. Like, basically, what I'm saying is, if we were on the smite world, it would be a better place to get back to our world where we are now, and we don't lose anything. We still have, if you're over 6 foot, you can't. If you're under, I don't know,
and we want to get back to our world.
Yeah, would you want to get back to our world where smite isn't a focus and society isn't split and changing rooms aren't, or the smallies aren't being redlined and things like that? We still have 6 foot people and 5 foot people, but there's no focus there. Even if we've got those labels, there's no split of societies. Society doesn't care about that.
Okay. Well, I'm with you on this one. I mean, as long as you can see the big, and you still have the attraction, then I don't think it matters.
To me, that's what I call gender abolish. I can't say the goddamn word, but I call it gender abolishment, or however you say it.
Yeah,
That's
well,
basically what that would look like.
yeah, I can see, but all you've done is just take off the words, but the concepts are still there.
Well, it's about the focus. So in our world, we don't focus on smite. Like labeling kind of helps you realize that they focus.
But you
on
said
it,
yourself
right?
you would still focus on breasts.
Well, no, I would recognize that I'm attracted to those things, but I wouldn't call that a womanly thing, and I wouldn't expect women. I wouldn't expect people with breasts to group themselves together for safety for people who don't have breasts, and those sorts of things or whatever.
And what utility is that? I'm trying to understand what would we gain from this.
I think society is. Oh, God, it's hard to say because the word I want to say is better or more free. Like I think the smite society is focusing on something that they shouldn't, and it's affecting their society in negative ways.
Oh.
So the redlining of the biggies hasn't happened in our world because we haven't focused on that.
Yeah, you're basically just saying so people are treated more fairly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for that. But,
Okay.
but part of being treated fairly.
Thank you for answering my...
Yeah, but part of being treated fairly is that when people underperform, they don't get the reward. That's to me. That's how you treat people fairly. In other words, no participation medals.
If you don't give me the,
if you
don't
train,
give me a good blowjob, I'm not going to call you back.
Exactly. If you train, you work hard, you win the race, you get the prize. And if you don't train or you slough off and you're too slow and you don't win, to me, that's fair. That's a fair society.
In our world, we still have those rules, like with the height, with smite, right? If you're under 4 foot and the roller coaster requires you to be 5 foot, well, sorry, you don't get the prize of being on the roller coaster for safety reasons. But we're not focusing on smite. We're not dividing our society on that or whatever, right? So yeah, those you would still have the attraction, or you'd still have the thing, or whatever it is we're focusing on. But just the labeling and the division of society based around that thing wouldn't be there.
Well, I got to let everybody know that this whole conversation, I think very close to the beginning, has been recorded. And I've recorded it for one main motive and purpose. So I remember who Addison is tomorrow.
Oh, dear. Well, good luck.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Who's Addison? Sorry?